Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Nebraska, play action pass, looking at the middle. Marcus Washington on the catch and a big gain. The first down for the Husker offense.
So we have to play our best football game. Every week I challenge the team two things. Don't want to know this. Win the game.
Get my nuts! Get my nuts!
It's a pass. It's Kemp. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Thought they played like a team, which was really important to me.
It's freaking bats.
Give up the middle. Touchdown, Nebraska. Gabe Irvin, his first touchdown of the season.
That's really the culture we want to have.
This smells delish.
Harvard's got it right side. Harvard, touchdown.
You know, that's kind of how we want to play at the end, right?
Like you're winning. Winning it like you're winning.
This is a 29-yard field goal attempt to win the game for Nebraska. In what would be a miraculous comeback in the final 40 seconds. Brown for the win. The kick is up. And it is good. He got it. Nebraska wins it.
We win one tomorrow. That's called a winning streak. It has happened before. So let's see some hustle. Let's jack it up a little.
Sets, throws, batted down. Intercepted at Dominican Sue. Sue to the 20, 15. Hawkins traps him, knocks him. Touchdown, Sue.
That's how winning is done.
This is an attempt of 57 yards. Does he have enough? Is it long enough? He got it!
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
Good morning.
Okay,
Shane, I see you.
All right there then, Shane-O.
Welcome into the Damon Benning Show.
Slow clap.
With Ravi Lulla here at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's a Breakfast Blitz Friday.
Yeah, right now we've got an audience of 3.
Listen,
Let's
we are
go.
packed in here to the gills.
To the gills.
Like sardines.
Ooh,
Come on out, get some breakfast buffet, hang out with DB and myself. Get on out of the rain. Come hang out here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where we bring you the show live every day. But this time you can actually join us.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I had to.
So you've been having some stresses.
Just a headache, man. The game got moved up because we're out of town in Norfolk today, so they moved it to Ford. I don't have my vehicle. It is currently getting an oil change. The only time I could get it there was I had to drop it off early. Just because obviously with this thing called work. but funny though. So, I call my Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
It's my man Eric, right? I'm trying to get guys with good ratings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get in the vehicle, and he's got it on a different radio station.
Okay.
I was like, ooh, shoot, bad choice. Like that's exactly what I said, right? And he just laughed, and he goes, well, you guys aren't on yet. It's not 7. So I was like, all right, let's go.
As long as he knows.
But here's the thing. This is my favorite. And it's funny that the amazing Daniel is sitting in here. Because what do I always say when people say things like, hey, not to sound racist, or hey, not to be a jerk, or hey,
they're about
not
to
to
do
sound
the thing.
sexist. That's probably going to be what happens, right?
Yeah, they're going to do the thing they're just saying not to be. Yeah.
So he's telling me how he's a huge fan of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, hey, no offense, I really like Ravi. I swear to goodness. I was like, hey, no offense taken. I do too. Oh, it was great.
That's funny.
So he's a total P1. Like
there we
he
go.
Knew exactly what the heck was going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a big Shane fan too. So it was cool when we pulled up and we saw this little itty bitty small puff of smoke. Right? It was just like It looked like
on,
it
Shane.
looked like a gnome out there just blowing trees. Right.
Well, they do come with a little pipe a lot of times, right? The little gnomes.
But I'm disappointed, man. I like defaulted to like Ref Sports Bar and Grill instead of Hurrdat's. I don't know what happened.
Oh, that's no
So
good.
we're like zigzagging all over the place, but he was cool.
we
man.
got here.
No,
That's what's important.
So I'm like 4 for my last 4 in terms of like quality.
Like good drivers.
Yeah.
Was
And
one
I'm
of,
never going far, right?
was
So-
one of the 4 the one up in Minnesota?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolute gem. This guy drove me around the whole stadium.
The
Making
wrong
sure-
stadium, but the right,
Yeah.
but still.
So I wonder, like, if he figured that out, because you know what I really should have figured out back to going to the wrong stadium?
What's that?
Because Greg did tell me, he said, hey, have him drop you off on the University Ave corner.
Yeah.
So when the guy asked me if I knew where I was going, I said, hey, I don't know. I said, you got to go like to the University Ave corner. I think that's what he told me
Right there.
this morning. And the guy goes, University Ave corner. He said, did he say what side of the building that was on? So I knew I was in trouble.
Yep. You're a little bit of trouble. Good
But
guy though. Good dude though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was super. He was the guy who's his significant other just happened to be from Omaha.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
Yeah, he was way cool. He drove me around the entire stadium because obviously that stadium wasn't supposed to be open.
Right. Yeah. Good
So
on him.
He
What a,
drove me around the entire stadium trying to find an entrance.
what a good
But
man.
then the last time, I think he was kind of fed up because it was a one-way.
Yeah.
And I basically felt guilty. It's like I was in a got to go situation.
Yeah. So,
then
you're like,
I had
I'm
to-
just getting out of
so
the
then I
car.
had to walk around, man. It was like 12, 15 minutes.
I'm
Walking
fed
around.
up.
I was fed up too, Sharpie. He was probably fed up with taking my phone
I
call.
was thinking you called him like 6 times to figure out you were at the wrong
Dude, as
stadium.
God is my witness, it was literally like 6 times in 10 minutes. I wish you could have seen the security lady. So I finally made it to like the suite floor
Mhm.
at US Bank Stadium, which is obviously the wrong stadium.
Yep.
So they're having a strategic meeting.
Mhm.
And I can see her, and I was like, oh, thankfully. She's like, where are you going? And I said, hey, I'm just trying to get to the 6th floor. She said, we don't have a 6th floor. I said, I don't know. I just know it went from -2 to 4. So she goes, oh, 4th floor. And so then I called him back. I literally put Greg on speakerphone to talk to another adult. And I'm an adult.
It's
And
not it's not like I can't find my mom. Like,
Hey, it was so awkward.
Are you kidding me?
And so again, another kind of little bit of a red flag. He goes, now keep in mind, I'm in their presence,
yeah.
right? They're talking about me like I'm not there.
Okay.
Can you get him to the entrance that has the big oars? And she's like, oars? He goes, it's down on basement level. And she's like, okay, I'll get him where he needs to go. Knowing good and well, she's probably like,
We don't have no oars.
these yahoos. And here I am like,
Just holding your hand out like, can you help me cross the street?
but by then, I mean, you're talking about 12 minutes of 15, 20 minutes of me just walking around aimlessly.
Just wandering around the Viking
Yeah,
Stadium.
And if the so this, I even tell you the funniest part of the whole deal. Do you know the only reason? This is basically the only reason the security guard let me in through the metal detector entrance.
Yeah.
Is because she thought I was good looking. She's like, oh hey, she goes, hey handsome, what do you need? And in my head I was like, ooh, I maybe got a chance.
I was gonna say,
Because
like,
there's
we're
nobody
in.
down there.
We're in.
She's just sitting down there, like, I mean, strapped. So it's kind of intimidating.
Right.
But I was just like, but once she said that, I was like, man, I just want to get inside, man.
We might have a shot here.
Yeah. But it's nowhere near where I needed to be. Next time. So it kind of happened this morning. He said I put refs in the destination and I heard at Sports Bar.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I probably did it. Dude, it's a lot going on, man. Fudge.
Well, you don't have your car. I finally got mine back.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get to Westside on time.
Yeah.
Did you see the schedule?
I did. Yeah, that's not ideal.
I have no idea.
I don't know if you're going to make all those meetings.
So okay, fair. Like I'm seeing what I can miss.
Yeah. Because you're starting meetings at like 11:10, basically.
I'm shooting for the 11:10.
Yeah, that's gonna be tricky.
I'm shooting for the 11:10.
We're gonna do our best. We'll do our best here.
Can you speed? So 11:10 is reporting to the weight room. 11:13 is, but I have to be there for that.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
All right.
We're gonna do our best here.
All right.
We'll also do our best for you here on the show. We've got jam-packed as always coming up here at 7:45. We will have Coach Cool on Coach's Corner. He is the head coach over at Kearney. They're off to a terrific start this season as well.
Sometimes some guys can be too cool for school.
Yeah, Brandon is pretty cool.
He is the definition of cool. 8 o'clock, we'll have Michael Rose Ivy. 9 a.m., we will have Mike Sautter, who I believe will be in our very presence here.
Fresh off the Omaha North Central game last night.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him about
right.
that. And then we'll wrap up the show 9:45 with our friend Matt Verzal, as always. Yeah, that was kind of a thriller at the end there with the North Central game.
Yeah, it's a game in which I felt like kind of North had it under control.
And then they didn't all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Central's got some good young skill talent, and they play hard and found a way to take the lead.
Pretty late.
Yeah, I think with about 5 minutes.
I think about 5 minutes left.
4 or 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
North got the ball back with a little under 4 minutes, and you got a chance to see that spread offense in circle on full display, and they threw it all around the yard. And I actually did think that was pass interference.
I did too.
I mean, I don't really think that was debatable.
No.
I thought it was a good call, and just an unfortunate
timing for sure.
for it, but
I mean, it was pass interference. Like that, there's not a lot of debate about that, I don't think, or there shouldn't be.
It's an unbelievable catch by Champ Davis.
Yeah, that was. I don't know how he held on to that ball.
Yeah, he took a good shot. When I think he's talented and he's really, really competitive, and I think he felt like he should have had the first one.
Okay.
So, and that's just kind of how he's wired,
Yeah.
right? He wanted another shot at it because the ball over the middle earlier in that drive, I think.
He thought he should have had.
I mean, 95% of the time, he's going to make that catch. So,
And Circo had some times where he struggled a little bit, but that throw to Davis at the end
he was
there,
good when he had to be.
That was
Accuracy was a thing all night
Yeah.
for him, but I mean, neither quarterback had a chance to really be comfortable. There was a lot of pressure, and sometimes Central was only bringing 4.
Yeah, but they were getting after him pretty good.
And still finding a way to get after it. So that was an entertaining game. A lot of young talent.
A lot of young talent. We got to see Tyson Terry in at fullback for a play, so that was fun.
Yeah, was there anybody in America that didn't know where that was going? But
I'm not sure it matters.
You still have to line up and stop it. And unfortunately, 2 of Central's free defenders were both DBs.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to be willing to pay the price. And
even if you are willing to pay the price, it doesn't mean you're still going to make the play. Like that's the problem with that situation, right?
Yeah.
You can be willing, and the body cannot be able.
Yeah, far be it from me too to talk about when and when not to use timeouts, especially if you remember the 7-3 debacle we had down the stretch against Gretna State. But I felt like I maybe would have spent one of those timeouts to get lined up once I saw what North was doing. But I did see where maybe Coach Mackey wanted to
keep a
couple.
Yeah.
But I think he had 2. And then if I'm Coach Martin, I probably don't call timeout. I probably let that clock run a little bit before I do call the timeout. So those times are stressful, and the crowds were going bananas.
Yeah, it was pretty atmosphere.
You do not call timeout.
No, you do not call timeout, Greg. So, I mean, it was just a lot of good young playmakers.
For sure. Yeah, it was the first time I had seen either of those teams this season, so I was glad I was able to get that experience there. There's a lot to like about Circo in terms of arm talent throws, things like that. Probably
It's funny. We were just talking about him. Was that yesterday or Wednesday?
Yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I hadn't seen him yet, so I was curious about what he looked like. A little undersized. Probably has a little room to grow yet still, but you can definitely see what people like about him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, a Newsom on the other end for Central, just a sophomore. They got some young skill guys.
Well, and they've got the running backs a freshman, right?
Yeah. Haney, he's tough. Kylon Haney, he's plays hard. He's been like that for a long time. and finally getting his opportunity. If Central can find some guys up front, these young guys have a chance. But if they can't protect and create some holes, it's going to be tough sledding.
It really is. It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you remember back in like the mid 2000s, it reminds me a little bit of Bellevue West before they kind of got going, like in the Fluellen era at quarterback, where they had tons of skill talent, right? But if you could beat them up on the lines, they were going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah. I can see that. I could see that a lot. And it's so big now with these athletic D lines and these multiple defenses people see. It's you have to be able to block people up front.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll be out tonight at Miller North Lincoln Southeast.
I'd like to get some eyeballs on Southeast.
Yeah, we'll see how they go out there. Miller North looking for their first win of the season. I was out there yesterday talking with our guy, Principal Behringer.
Did he get you some gear?
He did.
Oh, look at you. So
my guy hooked me up.
Okay, I got to give him his due. He just said something about that on Monday.
Yeah, he
and you have gear. You're wearing it
on Friday
today. Yeah, that's pretty legit.
He was on top of it. Yeah, we actually sat down and talked for a little bit too as well.
Good
really good dude. Been there. So we actually overlapped a little bit. He was a student teacher, I think, my senior year at Miller
looks
North.
super young, doesn't
he? Does. Yeah, I couldn't believe he'd been there that long.
I know. He looks way
I was
young.
like, whoa, that doesn't even make sense. But shout out to Aaron Behringer. Appreciate that.
Anytime you get a chance to talk about Miller North, is a good day for you.
Dude,
and it's not even basketball season yet.
He set me straight. Well, there was a time we were a football school.
Good point. There was a time.
No, he set me straight on the Coach Petito thing.
Yeah, I told you, right?
Yeah, you did. And I was like, okay, I got to get this from the horse's mouth here, because.
So you didn't trust me?
Well, I was convinced that he has been there since the school opened. He wasn't the head coach for the first 2 years. He was an assistant under a Coach Lee.
Even when I told you that, what did you look at me and say?
I was like, I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, you go, are you sure?
Yeah, because I was like positive. But I was confusing. He'd been there since the school opened versus.
It's okay.
Yeah, so he's been out of the 43 years of Miller North football.
I took it in stride.
Yeah, I'm a skeptical person by nature. You know this
Plus,
about
I didn't
me.
feel like arguing again off air.
That's true. We had a lot of arguments this week. We need to go see the work marriage counselor and get things straightened out a little bit. But no, it's been a fun week of shows. We've talked about a lot of quarterback play. Ironically, not that much about Nebraska's.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting though is did you feel like you had any takeaways after the presser yesterday?
I did have one.
This ought to be interesting.
Well, not about the quarterbacks. I didn't think we learned anything about the quarterbacks.
Okay.
And I think that was intentional.
You think it was intentional?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, Jeff looked good.
Yeah.
He's moving around.
I mean, I would say he's 100%.
But you certainly couldn't tell that.
Yeah.
He'd been injured.
I mean, trying to read too much in between the lines, I thought, okay, Harburg's going to start again. We might see Jeff.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think Sims starts.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
But I'm willing to be wrong. I'm trying to figure out where people are getting that from.
You owe me a breakfast sandwich already. You want to bet it back?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so you've got Sims starts. I've got Harburg.
Yeah, I don't feel great about that, but yeah.
If I win, you owe me 2 breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah. What did I lose the first one for? Was it just yesterday?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, it was Roddick being closer to my age than your age.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Well, you missed by like a year and a half, my guy.
That was ridiculous. Not even.
Oh, it was close. Yeah, you needed. He was 82.
It was a little over a year.
Yeah, you needed to be 80, 81. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just the vibe that I got was, yeah, he's probably not. I don't know. I am probably reading way too much into what he said. I recognize that, but I think it's gonna be Harburg again. I think we see Sims.
Did you believe the whole? See, I think it has to be just the other way, unless they know that he's not healthy. Because it's easier to get pulled than it is to not start and go back in.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think if they kind of like, hey, we want to get you out there a little bit, but we know you're not 100% yet. That's kind of the vibe I got. But
okay.
Let's get to the War Horse Sportsbook hotline real quick. We've got Brett. He wants to talk about high school quarterback play. Brett, what do you have for us this morning?
Hey, first, Damon, next week when Parker and I come to Omaha, please don't put up a 70 spot. So that would be really, really cool.
That's homecoming, man. We're just trying to stay dialed in, my man. Just a lot going on. It's like a circus.
Hey, let's not be dialed in. Caleb and Rezak need kind of a break. Next week's a great off week for them. Be perfectly great if you guys could do that. No, I was listening to the JB show with Jason Brown, and he made a comment that kind of sparked my interest, and I just want to get your thought on it, Damon and Ravi. He said that he feels like quarterback play is down due to 7-on-7 because there's more emphasis on 7-on-7 where guys have ample amount of time to throw to where the internal clock is not there. And because of that, footwork's down, arm angle's goofy. So when you get in the game, you see a lot of batted balls. Guys trying to throw deep balls, great. But that short crosser, the dump pass, getting out of the pocket, throwing on the run is just not there anymore because you don't have anybody in your face in 7-on-7. And that's where 90% of, off-season quarterback work is. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then kind of seeing, some of the decline a little bit with some of good quarterbacks here, from last year to this year in high school football. It kind of made me think so. Just want to see what your guys' thoughts on that were.
I appreciate the call, Brett. Looking forward to seeing you next week. I'm actually inclined to agree a little bit. I'm not one of those guys, though. I'm not down on 7-on-7. I think it has a
value.
It has a ton of benefits, but I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, we get the sense sometimes when we coach, we know, and we'll say things like, "Well, he's a 7-on-7 guy," or he's like, we'll put guys in categories, kind of knowing what we're dealing with. So listen, there's some validity to that. This isn't DB for not liking 7-on-7. I think it's up to those guys to understand it is what it is, right? Just to take it for what it's worth. That's why I think you see a lot of quarterback coaches, at least good ones, work with not just footwork, but muddy throws, unclear lanes, stepping up in the pocket. And even when they do it in their drill work, I think it's important to do it with live bodies.
Yeah.
As opposed to just the muscle memory part of it. Everybody made fun of like Jameis Winston and stuff for using, for looking goofy on machines or against equipment and stuff. But I think anything's better as a distraction than just saying, "Hey, do the footwork," right? Because listen, we see it. I know when we see quarterbacks, if those guys can function with a dirty pocket, and a lot of quarterbacks just can't. But it's kind of always been that way. So I don't know if 7-on-7 is a direct result, but I do know you can get a false sense of security with 7-on-7.
So that's what I was going to say. I think it provides false confidence to teams, and so you see them trying things they wouldn't normally because it worked in 7-on-7 or they could do it in 7-on-7. I don't think it actively makes players worse.
Yeah,
I think it provides a false sense of confidence to what guys are capable of.
Definitely inclined to agree there.
Coming up next, we will have more of the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We'll be right back in 5 minutes. We'll be right back in 4 minutes. We'll be right back in 3 minutes. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. We'll be right back in 1 minute. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Oh, it's so simple for me. It's nothing else other than who do I think gives us the best chance to win at every position. It's nothing about, who's established this, who's done this. It's just about, hey, as we think about what we've done, what we do, what we need to do this week, who gives us the best chance to win. So that's at left guard, left tackle, right tackle, defensive end, and then you get in the game. If that changes in the game, if your linebacker gets dinged up and the second linebacker gives you a better chance to win, you play him. So winning comes first. As I said, we want to be 1-0 this week. So there's nothing else other than that.
Interesting.
We are back on the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla here on a Football Friday, live from the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Come hang out with us at our Breakfast Blitz. If you can't make it out, we're on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're on YouTube, Twitter, all the things. You can find us anywhere.
Tri-Cities will get one on their own here in just a few minutes.
That's right. Our guy, Coach Cool. I always want to say Coach Cooley because, our guy over formerly Providence, now Georgetown. Some people would like to call him the best coach in the Big East. I disagree.
I know Jeff. I know lots of Coolies.
You know a lot of Coolies?
Yeah, some with K's, some with C's.
What about the gang?
Nope.
Cool.
That's
Cool in the gang.
That's Shane's.
Oh,
that's Shane's.
I thought he was a Fat Boys guy.
Yeah, well, he did play that too. He definitely played that.
We've got Coach Cool, head football coach at Kearney, coming up here at 7:45. Your ears perked a little bit at that Matt Rhule clip. What was happening?
Yeah, he does a good job of not letting you in, right? He plays it so close to the vest. Those reports, he doesn't release until the last minute.
The injury reports?
Oh, yeah. So it's like he's not going to be one of those guys giving you any sorts of clues.
And he said that earlier in the week. He says, from a competitive advantage, I'm probably not going to tell you guys a lot more, which I appreciate him being up front. Just like, yeah, you're not going to get anything, but I don't know. I if Jeff Sims is, let's say, 90%, is that aggressive? We don't really know what it's like.
That's
but
okay.
Based on what he said, I would say somewhere between 80 and 90%. How do you evaluate if you're in that spot, who gives them the best chance to win?
That's interesting because you have to say things like if they're operating at maximum efficiency.
Right.
Yeah. And you haven't seen that with one of the guys.
The Jeff Sims experience has been
I don't know.
Down.
So there would have to be some admission internally that you got it wrong from the jump.
If it's Heinrich Harburg?
Yeah, and you'd be doing that 3 weeks in if he's 90%.
Okay, so that's fair. So if you're saying if he's at that level of health and they start Harburg anyway, they're admitting they missed it in camp.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it too early to make that admission?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why you think it's Sims?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not 90%.
Or he's not healthy.
Okay. Can you always just say he's not healthy?
That's why I said, remember in the first segment, it depends on what the conversations are between the staff and Sims.
Okay.
If Sims is healthy and can go and doesn't play, it's going to take some work to get that one back.
That tells us a lot.
Yeah. 100%.
Now I don't feel as good about my bet.
No, don't listen. But I truly don't know.
I know you don't. But you make a good point.
Right. Like I'm just trying to process through how I would think about it as a coach.
No, that makes sense. So you don't know if it's easier to handle in terms of personnel if you start Sims and say,
you can always go to Harburg.
But it's harder to go back to Sims.
Correct.
I'm tracking with what you're saying there.
Don't let me convince you. Again, I'm not.
No, it makes sense though. What you're saying makes sense. I think you could also play it the other way where it's like, hey, Jeff, we just don't want to rush you back.
But again, Sims has to believe that.
Right.
You can't just tell him that.
Yeah.
And he's like, but coach, I feel good. It doesn't work like that.
But don't players always think that though?
No.
Okay.
No. I think a lot of times guys know if it's not their time right now.
So like last week, you think he knew like, hey, I'm not back.
Yeah, I watched him warm up. He did everything up until they got to that drop back stuff.
And then just couldn't play.
Sharpie looked at me and he's like, yeah, it's going to be Harburg. Like he didn't throw a ball.
Yeah.
He just didn't throw a ball. So
interesting.
Yeah. Just deductive reasoning.
No, you're right. And that makes sense.
If I knew though, I would have tried to proposition more than a sandwich.
That's fair. Try and squeeze more out of me.
Yeah. At least gone with like hash browns. I wouldn't have said hash browns.
No, you're not a carbs guy.
I'd have been like double the meat.
I'd have been like, hey, let's get you a McGriddle because I know you love those so much.
Listen, I'm not hating on the McGriddle.
I
just like my syrup with what it's supposed to be with in my mind, and that is not my meat.
Pancakes?
Yes.
You big waffle guy?
Yeah, well aware. There's always the guy or gal. Well, that's why they make maple syrup. That's why they make maple sausage. That's why they also make regular breakfast sausage too.
You going pancakes or waffles?
I do not like pancakes. I don't even remember the last time I ate a pancake.
Really?
Yeah.
Just out on pancakes.
Given the choice in order, if gun to head, I would go French toast, then waffles, then maybe take the bullet. No, then probably pancakes.
You really? How are you? I mean, how are you that out on pancakes?
They're awful.
That's so weird.
Do you know what I really don't like?
What?
Is I don't like when they get sometimes they taste like whatever they were cooked in.
Oh,
I know some people like that.
Yeah, no.
I don't.
You got to get a clean surface there. Don't want to get crazy.
And they have to be perfectly golden brown, and I don't like any. No,
Okay.
give me waffles or French toast. But I'm not ordering any of those, to be honest.
Yeah, no.
Especially at breakfast, there's just too many options to settle on waffles or French toast or pancakes.
You're just not a carbs guy, though.
Well, I mean, if I'm gonna have room,
Yeah.
I want to eat what I want.
Yeah,
right.
Which is the meat.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Well, I don't want some filler that I don't really enjoy.
I like to make sure I have syrup in all the little pockets of the waffle.
I follow this guy on TikTok. He always starts out by saying, "Mama."
Oh, you doing this again with this guy?
I think it's different. I think it's either Chef Pollo.
Is that the "We're gonna learn you something" guy?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't like that guy.
Oh,
I don't like that guy.
No.
This smells delicious.
He made these blueberry muffins and these egg muffin tin things, and he like made them into a sandwich, and he like draped them in syrup, and I was like, I just don't know why you did everything else with the seasoning and flavors if you're just gonna cake it in syrup. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I know I love syrup. I just like syrup by itself.
That's super weird to me. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Just kind of random.
Let's get to random Mike on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline. Mike, what do you want to talk about?
Hey,
Hi,
I was
Mike.
checking on Logan Smothers.
Yeah.
And he's number 2, and he's had some good games already. And what Rich Rod said was he's always had no problem and kind of liked playing multiple quarterbacks and getting them in all kinds of ways and times. And is this a year for Nebraska with the extreme shortage of running backs and receivers and having 2 quarterbacks that, if they're on, can really help you, especially with the quarterback run? And your best chance of beating a team like Michigan is to play both of them in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely. They're not going to be afraid to, and I appreciate the call, Random Mike. Nebraska won't be afraid to play 2 quarterbacks. I think they kind of put that out there early.
Yeah, earlier in the week.
The week, and so I don't. I think they're going to do this thing until they see who gives them a clear advantage.
But you think if you're going to play 2, you need to start Sims?
That's my opinion.
Yeah, based on from a coach's perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I do. The way I took it, honestly, from Rhule yesterday was that he's not 100%.
Now, remember, that's the caveat.
Right, yes.
So, like,
you're saying if he's above a certain
but remember,
threshold.
the very first thing when he was asked about Sims was he's like, Jeff is good.
Yeah, there was something about the way his voice kind of went up. I was like, I don't know how honest he's being right now.
He's not. This is not his style. I think
that's fine. I'm just that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, I didn't get all of that.
Especially when he goes, well, I mean, I don't know if I'd say he's 100%.
Okay, so let me.
I get what he like.
Let me tell you something.
Okay,
take it from somebody that has spent a fair amount of time not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Good liars remember details. Great liars don't even use details.
But what if he's a bad liar?
He's not.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it. I just, I thought maybe he was honest.
He just did. That was a little much.
A little too much detail.
To be fibbing, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, coming up next, we will talk to Coach Cool of
He'll shoot
Kearney.
us straight.
I imagine he'll be telling us the truth as well here on Benning and Lulla.
The show will be back in 4 minutes. The show will be back in 3 minutes. The show will be back in 2 minutes. The show will be back in 1 minute. The show will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla. It's the Friday Coach's Corner.
This is a process that we're going through. And although we're looking for the winning edge, shortcuts aren't one of them.
Hello? This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Can you believe they called that play?
I formation, quick 141.
94. Fullback banana, hot right.
Round left, wide, nasty, 16 lead pass.
Just what were those coaches thinking?
They are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook.
On the Friday Coach's Corner.
Hey, the spot! He's up here, sir.
You misplaced the line of scrimmage, you bunch of dummies.
It's the Friday Coach's Corner.
We wrap up hour number 1 on the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla with head coach at Kearney, Brandon Cool. Coach, how you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Coach, we're great, man. You know, I'm obviously excited to talk to you. How you been?
I'm doing just fine. We're rocking and rolling here in Kearney, America, and I can't believe we're in the week 5 already. Our kids have done a good job all year long, and it's been an enjoyable group to work with, and so we're looking forward to tonight's game at North Platte.
Yeah, see, here in the Metro, in the preseason, we referred to you as a dark horse. That is, there's plenty of illumination going on right now with what you guys are doing. I think you felt pretty good about this team coming in, though, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a nice nucleus of juniors and seniors coming back in our program, and some of those guys had a little bit of game experience a year ago. You always have some inexperienced guys in our program because we're going to graduate a ton of seniors every year. But at the end of the day, I thought these guys did a good job of preparing for the entire season. Obviously, we got up to a great start, and we're looking forward for our district competition here the next 5 weeks.
Coach, I've always been kind of curious, as one of the handful of Class A teams west of Lincoln, is it more of an advantage when people are coming to you to come play, or more of a disadvantage that you're traveling so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, number one, we want to try to make Foster Field on UNK's campus one of the most difficult places in the state to play.
Mm-hmm.
We for sure want that to be our home field. And in fact, we've had opportunities with our new school here that there's some conversation about having our own facility here on the campus of Kearney High School. And at the end of the day, we decided to make a decision to stay at UNK because all these kids that come through our program have watched Bearcat football on UNK's campus, and that's the field that they wanted to play on. And then as you look at traveling, our kids are so used to traveling. It's not a big deal for us to get on the bus and go to the Metro or go to Lincoln or obviously go out to North Platte here tonight. So, getting on the bus, relaxing, getting the team on the same page, sometimes is probably an easier task for us than it is probably from the big city guys.
So I was talking to a couple of coaches, and one, when you hear the names, there's only one guy on your schedule up until then that gave this comp when I asked him about Shilkey. He was talking to Coach Sautter. I'm not even going to give him that kind of credit. Mike Sautter. No offense, Mike. We'll talk to you later. When we asked him about Shilkey and kind of how good of a player he really is, and Coach Huffman, Coach Huffman said this. Coach Cool, get this. He said, the best players that I've played against this year: Tyson Terry, Caleb Benning, Christian Jones, and Mr. Shilkey. How about that?
Yeah, that's a great company to be in. Those guys are all elite players here, and Sawyer, he's just going to get better and better. He's only a junior for us, and he's a young junior. He's still a baby from a physical standpoint, and so he's got a great tenacity for football. He's got a great IQ for football.
Isn't that something?
Some things. Yeah. Oh, huge. It's huge. And it's one of those things where he's just going to continue to get better and better. And obviously the recruiting trail is going to be hot and heavy for him as the season goes on, and he'll be busy obviously in the off season.
Coach, I'm wondering, you're coming off of a big high profile win against Bellevue West. You're going out to North Platte this week. How quickly were you able to shift focus from a pretty high profile matchup to kind of just back to the normal grind of the season?
Yeah, that's a great question. We try to enjoy every victory around here at Kearney High School, and then when we get back to work on Sunday or Mondays, we talk to the kids right away. Hey, we want you to enjoy this victory, but now this is where the rubber meets the road here, so to speak, with the district competition. You're going from playing a team that threw it 50-some times to a team that's going to run it about 90 times, and so it's just a different mindset that you have to have. And they're a well-oiled machine in North Platte. This is what they're going to do. You know exactly how they're going to attack you offensively and defensively. And so this is a tough type of rivalry game that our kids really need after coming off of a big victory last week against Bellevue West.
Yeah, that's interesting because you talk about contrasting styles, right? You saw 3x1s and 2x2s, and I think Bellevue West, would they have 40 more snaps than you guys, which is interesting when you play a team like North Platte because defensively they can wear on you. How long did it take you to flip the preparation just stylistically?
Well, we don't mess around. We go right away on Monday, and we feel like you got to get the Bellevue West and all the teams that have the 3x1s and the 2x2 stuff, and you got to come back and you got to change the kids' mindset right away. And so it might have been a little bit ugly on the first practice. And by the time we got to the middle of the week, I think our kids were focused on they have to play disciplined football. You're going to have a guy on the fullback. You're going to have a guy on the quarterback. You got to know where the wings are going to go. They're going to pull and move all these guys. And so you're going to have to play disciplined football. So we'll see where we're at when we get into this game here this evening.
Coach, you don't throw the ball around the yard a ton, but when you do, you can be highly efficient at it. How do you kind of pick and choose when the best times are to take those handful of shots you're going to every game?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think the one thing that you got to live on is we always want to match our offense and defense, and I think we're doing that right now. You know, defensively, we've kind of hung up and played solid defense. We've been a little bit last week, but we did not break in order to win that football game. And so we want to match our offense and defense. Now, with that said, you know, there's some times where it might be 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 4, and we might run the ball. And, gosh, we're just short. We're 4th and 1, guys. Punt is not a swear word at Kearney High School because we're going to punt. We're going to make high school teams. We're going to make high school teams. We're going to make them drive, 75, 80, 85 yards and see if they can't make mistakes. We were able to capitalize on 3 turnovers from Bellevue West last week, kicked 2 field goals and a touchdown. And so that's just kind of our philosophy. It's been our philosophy for years. And so we're able to do that just a little bit. Now, to answer your question on taking those shots, you try to set some things up formation-wise, or you see a little bit of a mismatch right there. Those are our shot plays. And so the problem is tonight against North Platte, it's a little bit different. You're not going to get very many snaps. And so you got to be able to have everything ready to rock and roll. There's no adjustments. The adjustments have already been made. And with your limited number of snaps on offense, you got to be in the attack mode right away.
This name has been in Kearney lore for a while, so I'm assuming that Abel is part of the Molina family. I mean, how many are there and have there been? I feel like between he, Randolph, and Novacek, you got a nice 3-headed monster, but man, another one in the fold?
Yep. Abel. Here's the deal about Abel. Abel's the same mold as the whole family.
Unbelievable.
We inducted the entire family here, I think it was a year ago, into our Hall of Fame. We've had so many kids come through, and it's been great. All the Molinas that I've had a chance to work with have been easy to work with and hard workers, and Abel fits this mold to a T. So the biggest thing about Abel is he tore his ACL about the second game as a freshman, and then he tore his ACL, his other one about in the summer before his sophomore year. So he's just coming on for us. He's hardly had any game experience. Brand new too last year as a junior, and so this is going to be a breakout year for him if we can keep him healthy.
Hey, before we let you go, I got to ask you about Griffin. This is kind of the evolution and kind of what you want him to do as an extension of what your personality is. Talk to me a little bit about Novacek.
I like how Griffin operates. He is, a junior kid, so he's still kind of learning everything that we're trying to deal with here offensively. Good-looking dude. The guy's an athlete. And he just has a nice presence about him running the quarterback spot. So, again, he's just going to continue to get better and better. And we're going to try to evolve here as we continue on our district competition. But we're not afraid with the guys on the perimeter with Carter Lee and Xander Rhule. We got those guys on the perimeter. And then you got the running backs in the backfield. And then you throw some defensive guys in there. I like where we're at. So, we're going to give our teams a lot of different looks, just like defensively. We're going to give our teams a lot of different looks and see if we can't find a nice seam in there to run or nice pass play in there that we can throw. So, we're going to turn Griffin loose as the year goes on.
You have no idea how much I was hoping that this game didn't fall where it did. Obviously, getting a couple games in advance, getting North Platte next week, then you guys the next week. I'd be nice if I could look at some different film other than you guys playing each other, but that's okay. Best wishes, Coach. It's always a pleasure.
Guys, we'll see you down the road. Appreciate your coverage.
Hey, thanks.
That is Coach's Corner with Coach Brandon Cool from Kearney, Nebraska.
My buddy we're no longer friends. He's like, you're talking to the best coach in the state. Hey, thanks. No, he's fantastic. We were at Coach's clinic. These guys are laughing at me. We were at a coach's clinic last year, and I spent like I saw him in the hallway at one of the breakout sessions in Casey. after about 3 hours, I was like, yeah, I should probably let you go, man. I feel like I've, but I just enjoy. I mean, I remember I was interviewing this guy when he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
Playing in state championship games. So I was just like, you're going to be really good. He's got that infectious personality. They got it humming.
Yeah.
Ed Carney. They're going to have a great hoops team. I love their administration. You know, I'm a big Baronic guy. They got it humming out there.
You know where else they've got it humming?
Where's that, buddy?
Over at Alumni Hall. Our friends over there are
They came in clutch.
Ultimate Husker shopping experience, the best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family. Adidas, Champion, Columbia, accessories, gifts, whatever you need. As always, a 10% discount for students, faculty, and military. Go visit them at P Street downtown in Lincoln or South Point Pavilion or anytime at alumnihall.com where Husker fans shop. More of Benning and Lulla coming up next.
We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Well, in an offense like ours, a lot, some offenses, have like one or two run schemes. We've kind of taken the approach that even if the learning curve is a little bit greater, in the long run, we'll be better off, being multiple. So, it's hard to, you have to come in, you have to learn multiple tracks. You have to be able to run every run from the eye, from under center, from the gun, from pistol. But mainly it's protections, right? We're not like a simple protection team. We're a little more, not exotic, but a little more developed, maybe. And so they have to handle a lot of things. So I say the protections is probably the biggest jump. Certainly it's the biggest jump for a college running back to the pros. And so for our guys from high school to college, that's the biggest probably jump.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla. I know my guy DB here and our next guest, Michael Rose-Ivy, part of the reason they coach high school is because they want to mentor kids. But if you're not a high school football coach, you can still help out with Big Brothers Big Sisters and mentor young people. Big Brothers Big Sisters is on a mission to support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. Go to mentoromaha.org to sign up to become a big. Or, like our next guest, you can just coach high school football. Michael Rose-Ivy, how you doing this morning?
Doing good. Another Friday.
Yeah, MRI. So how are we looking, right? Are we kind of, you getting your guys to stay in the moment here a little bit? I know it can get tough.
Yeah, trying to. We got a good one tonight versus a team 3-1. But a lot of the talk is always, hey, it's about us. We got to execute better. Coaches, we got to coach the finer details a little better. So trying to get them on the track. My big metaphor has been we got to get back on the bike. Our chain broke. We can't keep pedaling in place, and we ain't going nowhere. We got to get that chain fixed, get it back on there, hop on the bike, and let's get back rolling. I sent him a picture of Debo on the bike, so hopefully that mentality.
Lighten the mood a little bit.
You going Debo from Friday or Debo Samuel? Is he riding bikes now too?
Man, how about that guy?
They built about the same.
Hey, goodness! If you had a Debo Samuel, we probably aren't having this conversation.
Yeah, right. If I had a Debo Samuel, man, it'd be a different conversation.
He was unreal last night.
Michael, I'm curious, because Nebraska is kind of in a similar place to what you've been talking about with your team, and that they're trying to build culture. They're trying to keep to a standard internally. But how much do you focus on still? You got a game plan for the opponents. Obviously, you got to scout the opponent. How do you kind of split your attention between, hey, this is really about us, but we still have to do enough homework on the other team to put our guys in a good place to win?
Yeah, that's I think the delicate balance. I think between the weight room and I think that's what separates a lot of high quality high school programs, and obviously at college level too. It separates even more. That balance of definitely trying to say, hey, we got to get better at exactly what we do. What do we do well? For us, like we did a self scout and stuff like that last week. We kind of looked at what plays are working, what are we getting, looks and all those type of things. But then too, you have to get those guys to realize that Friday or Saturday that the results do matter. And what you get on the scoreboard, that is a reflection of you working on yourself. So that's the delicate balance I think we work with, and I think good coaches find a way to get their kids to focus on both, regardless of what the circumstances. If you're 4-0 or 0-4, I think it's always about that. Focusing on yourself, but obviously getting into the details of what the team you're facing is doing on a weekly basis.
MRI, let me ask you something. From a defensive standpoint, when you hear power, spread, and option, break those for me down one at a time. When you hear power, option, what do you think?
Power option, I'm thinking, gap scheme, counter reads, kind of bash and dash, back going opposite of the pool. Obviously spread, you're thinking more, formation. Obviously there's some teams that still run the ball pretty well, but it's just they're trying to get, vertical seams through horizontal stretching with formation. You have some teams that kind of mixture of both a little bit. So I think if you're trying to put a name or a tag on Nebraska's offense, I think they may they may embody all three at certain points in the game.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because that's kind of what he referred to them as. And it's funny when we listen to the schemes, you do see some gap. We just heard in the clip, right? They do multiple things in the run game that they kind of put it all on you at once. And Coach Satterfield just said on Wednesday, this offense takes some time based on all the schemes that they ask you to do. Are you starting to see it pay some dividends a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you saw some natural lanes get opened up, you know what I mean? Not just the back kind of making something happen or, you know, a defensive lineman out of the gap. You know, obviously got clearly in the B gap and we got to reach his outside shoulder and we're getting there, you know what I mean? Or, you know, getting the counter and gap scheme they were running this past week, getting those down blocks and things like that. Like they said, it takes some time. I mean, people may think, again, Madden and video games kind of, you know, alter people's perception of what it takes to do stuff. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, you understand it, DB. The track that you run, you know, from pistol, from gun near to gun, you know, gun far, right, are all different tracks.
It's
you know
different.
What I mean? And now you go put it under center now. And now you're telling the back, hey, you got to follow a fullback. And they're like, well, I don't even know what a fullback is, right? So it's not as easy. It's not as easy as people think, you know. And the more you can do, obviously, it helps you schematically. But there's a learning curve. But like he said in the clip, I mean, if the learning curve is going to be a little bit, you know, a little wider, a little longer, right, till we get to that high point, we get to that peaking point, then so be it. But for the you know longevity of the program, that's what's needed, you know, for them to be successful. And I agree. I think the more you can do, the more you can show, the more, you know, got a defense coordinator standing up game planning and trying to figure out ways to stop it.
Michael, I'm curious as we kind of talk about, you know, the power spread option, things like that. DB and I were talking earlier how that zone read into an RPO essentially acts as a triple option play, right?
Right.
Is that enough of a sort of staple to build an identity around that type of action or concept? Or would you like to see them kind of continue to find an identity on offense?
No, I think that's fine. I think what you pair it with, I mean, with the RPO, I mean, I think when you go back to like Oregon, you know, the original or quote unquote, I won't say that, right? The first idea we think of a spread offense, Oregon, you know, 2008 to, you know, when Chip Kelly was there or whatnot. You know, all their run, they were running RPOs, but all of it was off the inside zone. It was inside zone bubble.
Yeah.
And now you're getting a lot of the RPOs where now guys are, like Lincoln Riley, he does a great job running OT, GT counter with his RPOs as well and still getting the guys the ball in the flat. You know, I think the versatility the RPO game gives you as far as what you can run now opens up a lot of gaps. You know, linebackers' eyes in the wrong place, flowing the wrong side. I looked at Billy Kent's play was a touchdown. I think that was RPO.
Yeah, that's true. That was true triple. That thing was saucy.
Right, and I think it's the modern way to run it. You know, it looks good. You know, you get a clear picture for the quarterback, I think. You know, you get the block on the outside with the receivers as well. So I think it could be a part of the identity. I really like, especially as we looking at Louisiana Tech's defense. I mean, they struggled a lot with counter and power. And so I look for a lot of their stuff, a lot of actually coming off the bar, pulling, tight end pulling, you know, being very physical in the run game and then using that to get to the edge.
I think it's just really, really hard. You know, I'm just thinking, we were just talking to a high school coach who saw a lot of 3x1 and 2x2 this week, and now he's going to get pen, pull, counter. He's going to get some veer. So, like, when you see those kinds of things, Nebraska was having some success on stretch, right? But then you turn right around and can run, some people call it tag. Nebraska doesn't always use guard tackle when they run counter. Sometimes they insert with, like, Fedoni or a tight end and pull a backside guard. It's hard for guys to take that on when you're being stretched horizontally as well. It's a different mindset for you defensively. Then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, this is power, and I have to meet this at the point of attack.
Right. Because initially those steps, if I'm trying to reach somebody and I'm trying to down block, they don't look the same. You know, really is that back pass and obviously that guard or that tight end kind of shifting back on the backside to kind of give you a true look at what's coming. But, yeah, no, it's tough, you know, especially, you know, being a linebacker, second-level player. even being a D lineman, you want to be vertical in your gap, or I think at Louisiana Tech, they want to seem like their D line wants to get vertical, and
That's a big behind the line of scrimmage team,
right? And so they're going to take a lot of chances, and I think that's where get them moving laterally now, get them thinking. You know what I mean? That hey, I don't want to get captured on my outside shoulder. Now that's when you hit them with those, inside zone with the tight end coming back, and like you said, leading up in there on the ISOs and things like that. It's tough. It's definitely tough to try to stop.
We're talking with Michael Rose-Ivy, former Nebraska football player. Michael, you mentioned some pulling out of the guards and tackles and some things you'd like to see there. From what you've seen from Nebraska's offensive line this year, do you like the way they move well enough to get out on those pulls?
I think it's a definite work in progress. I mean, I think what we've seen, and sometimes with gap schemes, obviously the guard is kind of that key focal point. But really looking at that double team point there, whether it be that three technique on that three technique or going down the one technique, that penetration there, and if you allow vertical penetration there, you really kind of mess up the timing of it. So I think it's a really a full line thing, guys being able to block down and case things down enough so guys can better make a way and make a hole and get around there. I think it's something that Rhule would like to use, so I don't think it's something that he won't continue trying to implement as they go. But obviously, as you get going recruiting and get the guys you really think, fit your scheme, as best as you think, I think that will start to be more of a big part of their offense. But I really think if they look at film and watch Louisiana Tech defense and what they've given up, they would be hard pressed to not even try to run counter. This would be a good week to. Let's just put something. If we want to run it, this wants to be something part of our identity later, especially the quarterback counter. Let's at least try it this week. I think it's something they can be successful with.
And how crazy is it to see guys like Javen Wright go from a third level guy to an outside guy to playing, on the weak side in a 3-3-5, or Phelan Sanford, number 37, who's played some corner, some rover. Last week he was playing second level at the linebacker spot. We've seen Omar Brown fit in the run game as like an insert guy. Like, how about the development, right? Just talk about that for a minute. Does that start with the concept and the body types, or once you're looking at the body types, then you can teach the concept? It reminds me a little bit of Bo, where he would go super big picture conceptually and then drill it down.
Yeah. I think I think it first starts with the schemes. I think the scheme allows you to think a little more creatively as a defense coordinator. You know what I mean? As far as body types, especially on those second and third levels, because you got some some gap and body guys. Guys will take up gaps and guys will take up bodies on the offensive line. So you're able to play a little more speed. But then I think it just comes down to foundationally, like how they install. In order to do a lot and move guys around, there has to be a base foundation. Hey, this is how we line up. This is what we do, and having a process for installing it. You know what I mean, and getting guys up to speed and be, hey, you can play corner for us, but we may need you at weak side safety, or you may be a rover for this week, but we may need you at Mike in this package. And I think the flexibility of the scheme allows that, but obviously having those body types and having those guys, not only just body types, but I think football IQ plays a part of that.
Huge.
I think that's where it comes into part, and those guys have to be able to learn new positions and be able to play at a high level in those positions.
Michael, we've obviously haven't gotten to the quarterback situation yet, which is one of the biggest storylines heading into the Louisiana Tech game. If you're in that coaching spot, how
you know anything about quarterback controversies, MRI? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. How healthy would Jeff Sims need to be in your mind for him to get the nod, or would you go with Harburg either way?
The NIL makes things a lot tougher than I would say this. I would think I think the first thought is the team. You gotta put the best player in position, or best player in the position, out there. For the success of the team. I think Sims would have to show, for me, if I was the head coach, if I was next to him, he got to show he's 100% healthy. And he's able to run. Because, Sims had a The first game I think was a 20 carry rush game, I believe. They let off a little bit with Colorado, but then Hurrdat comes in and he has a 20 rush. So I think that's a big part of the offense. They're going to run the quarterback.
Yeah.
And if Sims can't show he can handle at least 12 to 16 carries, you know what I mean? Then I think you got to go with Hurrdat. I think that would be my decision. Now I think after this week, he's successful. I think now you got a real conversation about what you're going to do, because Sims should be ready to go. It's going to be conference play, and I think Rhule would like some stability there and not have to go back and forth. I think it's going to be a tough decision. It's going to be a tough decision. And, I think it's good to have two guys that can go, because they are running the main quarterback a lot. But as far as who that starter is, I think once you get a conference play, you got to find that guy and let him roll.
Let me get you out of here on this, because you do have experience. A lot of times in the locker room, players know, they get a feeling of who they want to go with, who gives them the best chance to win. In your history, do you think that's usually being on the same page as the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think everyone knows. I think everyone definitely knows. Everyone gets that feeling. You see a DB when a certain guy comes in the huddle, you know what I mean, and how the energy picks up.
Yeah.
The communication seems to be a lot better. Focus seems a lot better for whatever reason, right? He may be the same skill set, may have the same talent, XYZ, but for whatever reason, those intangibles, what he brings to the table, the confidence he instills in his teammate, players and coaches know. I think coaches have to think on a bigger scheme, water scheme of things, and as far as those things. But I think the players and coaches, they know. Talent recognize the talent, and people see the work and what someone can bring to the table. So I think everyone's on the same page. It's just a matter of making that decision and going with it.
Michael Rose-Ivy, we appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
MRI, appreciate you, man. Best wishes tonight.
Yes, sir. You too.
That is our friend Michael Rose-Ivy. Always appreciate the time he gives us on Fridays. It's interesting stuff there with what you brought up with the locker room dynamics of the quarterback situation, right? Because you're familiar with that real up close and personal, right? Correct me if I'm wrong here. There was a faction of the locker room that was Brooke Behringer guys, and a fraction of the locker room that was Tommy Frazier guys, right? And so how do you bring those two groups together after you've made that decision?
Well, I think it's all about what the common vision is, right? So I think the culture was one in which I sometimes think that was a little overstated in terms of like our outward reaction.
Okay.
Right. Because the standard was the standard.
Right.
And guys were going to play to that anyway. Now, personal feelings, I can't speak to everybody, but I do think players know in their heart of hearts who gives them the best chance to win. So,
but that doesn't mean all the players agree.
You'd be surprised.
There's a pretty good consensus.
I think there's usually a pretty good consensus.
Okay.
That's basically what I was asking MRI. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that coaches always play the quote unquote best players, because best players doesn't always mean the same thing to the same people. Coaches play the people that they trust the most.
Well, right.
That's typically what happens. You hope that they're really, really good, or there isn't such a void in talent between the most talented and the trust guy.
Yeah.
That it's an issue. But coaches play they play who they trust.
Well, yeah.
So once you arrive at what gives the best chance to win, sometimes it's not always the most talented. And sometimes it's not always the guy that makes the fewest mistakes.
Sure.
Right. Sometimes you're in situations where if poop hits the fan, I want the guy that can make me a play.
Yeah.
Right. But it depends on what's around you.
Right.
If you're boom or bust or feast or famine, you probably have to gravitate more towards who can make me a play. The steadier you are with the pieces around you, the less you need a difference maker.
You can have a safety net
at the quarterback spot. So, a lot of it has to do with what's around said individual.
So somebody asked me a question on Twitter this week that it goes right into what you're saying here. And he asked basically if Coach Rhule had known what his defense was going to look like through the first few weeks, do you think he maybe goes higher floor in the quarterback he was looking for rather than higher ceiling the way he appears to have gone with Sims.
Well, I mean, maybe, but not really, because
you don't think they thought about it that way?
We're the first. Like I told you, I thought we were talking about the wrong thing with this team.
Okay.
I said this from the jump. And I got it from Coach Rhule. From day one, he talked black shirts.
Yeah.
He said, we're talking about the wrong. He told me, hey, listen, you guys are talking about the wrong thing. Quarterback stuff and the transfer portal, whatever. He said, not enough people talk about the black shirts.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get back to the black shirt tradition. It's a national brand. I think we have a lot of players on personnel. That was always his focus.
Mm-hmm.
Always his focus. Now, playing to this level, is that a surprise? I'm sure it is. But don't think that he didn't want to run the ball, play great defense, and have good special teams. He's always thought that.
Right.
Always thought that.
I guess the question more goes to, because Sims came in before spring, right? So we didn't know, even to the extent what we did after the spring, that, hey, the defense is going to be pretty good, we think, right? So I think the question more got to the fact of, like, hey, he didn't really know what he was walking into when he was recruiting a quarterback.
Now let's
or might be in
no. This needs context here a little bit. Remember, Nebraska's still not very good offensively,
right?
And they weren't great on offense on Saturday,
right?
Okay,
they're playing an inferior opponent.
So we're not done in the eval. Sometimes I think when we're having these conversations, we're talking as though both guys have their future mapped out. Harburg is going to be this going forward. Sims is going to be this going forward. That's not the case.
I agree.
Right? Like, so I think we have to dispel that to be able to have intellectual conversations, because
I don't think who we saw in the first 3 weeks is the final product of either Sims or Harburg.
Yeah.
I think the question was more, would they have gone after somebody other than Sims in the transfer portal if they thought, hey, we just need a caretaker at quarterback rather than a playmaker?
Maybe, but then you're also talking about changing your offense too. I mean, go back and watch South Carolina. You watched them a ton, right?
Mm-hmm.
They needed they needed to add some pieces in the QB run game, to give them a true QB run game.
Right. That'd go with like Joyner, who'd played quarterback the year before, that was playing like wide
Bell,
receiver
or
now.
like
Jaheim Bell, now Florida State, took some Wildcat
So
snaps,
I think they've always wanted that dynamic at the quarterback
QB
spot,
run dynamic,
regardless.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that's a component of.
I just thought it was an
what they
interesting
wanted.
question, because I do think the defense, even if you were high on them, is probably ahead of where we thought.
No,
they were.
I'm in complete agreement. But I thought all along he's always wanted to play an offense that would complement his defense from the jump.
Sure.
Now the high floor, low ceiling thing, I'm interested in that conversation.
Yeah.
But I still don't think we have a good enough grasp.
I don't either. And we can get into this more in the next segment because we've got a little bit of time there. I do think that, to me, is the conversation between Harburg and Sims at this moment. Even if you're not projecting who they're going to be down the road, I think this week and maybe through most of the season, that's the decision you're going to be making is, do I like the guy who I think brings a higher floor, or do I like the guy that I think gives me huge playability but maybe has some inconsistency in there as well? That, I think, is an interesting conversation to have. And we'll get into it next here on the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
We will be back in 5 minutes. We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Yeah, I think every week's different. You know, obviously you'd love to know on Monday, right? But I'm also trying to prepare these guys for life and for NFL football. I mean, like, you know, you want to play in the, you know, Christian McCaffrey, you know, who I obviously have a lot of experience with. He got traded on like a Wednesday or Thursday. He played that Sunday. Like, this is about figuring it out. So each week's different. We try to do our best for every guy. You know, we had weeks, and I had 1 week where PJ Walker found out in warm-ups that he was starting. So whoever's playing has to go out and play. And I have no problem playing multiple guys. I have no problem, you know, nothing's obviously having a established guy who's healthy is the ideal thing, but we'll address whatever happens as it happens.
You're listening to the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla. We're halfway through a football Friday here from the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, and ESPN Tri-Cities. I got to say, I love it when he talks about Christian McCaffrey. Just warms my heart. It feels so good.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey.
Pretty good. You know what else
It's always
I love?
that reference. Especially as a Niners guy, too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
I love it when he talks
he's
about
not,
Christian McCaffrey.
He's not afraid to reference Mac.
You know what else I love?
What's that?
Is our friends over at Dingman's Collision Center. They've got 4 great area locations, been in business for over 25 years, family owned and family operated. They've got the latest technology, so you can take them whatever make and model you have. Voted first place best of Omaha for 18 years running, and they give back to the community with their give back program for every car repaired. Go to dingmans.com for more information.
I think I have some audio from something else that you love.
Oh.
They're going to throw. And here's Purdy going to throw one deep, wide for Debo. Made the catch on the back shoulder. Touchdown! San Francisco!
I do love Debo. You're right, Shane. Appreciate that. You know what I didn't love? Did not love how Brock Purdy looked last night. He looked a little rough.
I mean, the more times he's out there, we may see this over time and Lincoln too. The more opportunities that you're out there, the more times you have to be critiqued. And here's the thing. There's this beautiful thing called tape, right? So doing something in a repetitive fashion after people get a sense on what it is that you like to do, if you can repeat that, that's good, because then those guys will have to move the chess piece again. So don't discount the fact that he didn't have a lot of tape in some situations, but the more that he plays, the more opportunities he'll have to disappoint. That's just people in general.
How much do you think with Brock Purdy specifically is it the tape is starting to catch up with him, or his favorite receiver is not Deebo Samuel, it's Brandon Ayuk, and he didn't play last night?
Well, that's going to happen. So hopefully that's not it. Right?
Okay.
Because you're not always going to get to play with your guys.
But we've seen it before where a guy is missing an important piece, and if you're not a higher level guy, it can dramatically affect how you look.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to be able to make a living with, like, Juwan Jennings, Kittle, Deebo Samuel,
Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah,
you should be fine, right?
You should be okay.
All right, that's fair.
You should be okay.
He didn't look good last night. That's probably the worst he's looked as a 49er.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we see on Brock Purdy. But, it seems like maybe you were doing a little double talk there, also talking about our guy Heinrich Harburg.
Well, I'm just saying in general.
No, as you get more tape on him,
it's
going to be different. People are going to defend him differently, right?
So talking to Coach Satterfield the other day, he was talking about how this offense takes time, right? And how he wasn't going to hit panic. And that's kind of one of the things I've started to like about him is he's very savvy, and he's done this a long time. So I don't think he's going to be too shaken one way or the other, whether it's to the good or to the bad. I think he's a guy that just typically understands how to grind.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Sorry, I got distracted by our YouTube comments. We've got somebody watching from the Philippines. And so I was like,
so we had somebody in Australia.
I was like, how did that happen?
I'd like to go to the Philippines. How's the dollar? Is it U.S. currency? There's 2 smart guys in here. Well, probably 3. I don't know. At least Dookie Clint's got the right gear on today. What kind of money do they spend in the Philippines? Does anybody?
Let's look it up. We got the Google machine.
I don't know, man. Is the Philippines cheap right now?
What is Philippines currency? There we go.
What is it?
It's the Philippine peso.
Okay.
So not the dollar.
So how's the value? Is it good?
Okay, let's see. Philippine
Am I getting a good return?
Philippine peso to US dollar. I'm looking up the exchange rate. It is worth a little less than 1/5 of a US dollar. So you're going to get a good exchange rate there.
Okay.
You're going to go a little better than 5 to 1.
I can't Too bad we have to fly. We can't drive.
No, cannot drive to Philippines.
Damn it.
There's some
this whole water thing.
Large bodies of water. I don't think they.
Well, you know, Americans are bad at geography, so don't think somebody probably hasn't tried.
Well, they wouldn't get very far.
No, I'm just playing.
They wouldn't get very far. I don't know. We don't need to talk about the 49ers anymore. I just, had to bring them up a little bit, right?
So I don't know. I think the repetitive thing, that's why I'm so excited about more than normal for, like, let's just say a normal La Tech game, right? There's some film, there's game planning, there's film study, there's Nebraska trying to round into form, there's a counter punch. Like, I'm captivated.
I actually do, even though I said I thought Haarberg was going to start, I actually do want to see Jeff Sims play in this game, because I think it gives us a more apples to apples comparison with Haarberg against Northern Illinois, right?
And believe me, we're not the smartest people in the room, and so I'm sure they're thinking the same thing, right? I think they want an apples to apples comp too, especially with all the whining that everybody was doing, and maybe rightfully so. So I don't want to say whining. That sounds a little harsh, because sometimes I just get kind of pissy with the excuses people make for other people. But you open with 2 conference opponents on the road. So I think Nebraska feels like they understand that it was ideal conditions, although it was a good defense, at least up front
for Northern Illinois.
Yeah,
their front four, I thought, was pretty solid.
and a good test at home. I still think proof of concept for them would be comparing apples to apples. Was our evaluation that far off? I'd like to run it back and see.
So what do you, I guess, if you're in a coaching spot, what do you think if you, like, let's say we see Jeff Sims against Louisiana Tech. Let's see, we say a little bit of Heinrich Haarberg as well. And it looks the same, right? Sims is still struggling in terms of ball security. Haarberg looks solid, but not spectacular.
You know the answer to whatever question it is you're going to ask me.
No, I really don't. What do you do as a coach if you start to realize, oh, we think our evaluation really was that far off?
You own it. That's coaching.
You just eat it.
Yeah, we were wrong.
Okay, we
were dead wrong.
You don't try and wait it out any longer.
Well, I mean, it's becoming
pretty obvious.
It'd be pretty obvious, right? You're starting to compare apples to apples.
So I guess from a practice standpoint, if we're saying Haarberg doesn't look that good in practice, right? Like that's
are we saying that?
I think that's the assumption. If the evaluation's that far off, I think you have to assume that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
How do you kind of balance that with, hey, we care about how people practice. We care about the importance of practice.
If that's the case, sometimes people just maybe need to get comfortable in a system too, because the longer they do something, this is a terrible analogy because of the positions they played, and I don't think either one of these guys has his high end. But I've seen this. Amon is a good example for me.
Okay.
Because the longer I saw him do something, the better I knew he was going to be at it.
Okay.
And early on watching, I was never really, and nobody in the running back room. Yeah. We were like,
he's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And the more I watched him do something, I was like, oh, he's a rhythm guy. He likes the repetitiveness of doing something again and again. And it's not just a Nebraska thing. I saw it at Seattle, right? Sporadic opportunities, couldn't really get settled in, kind of a round peg, square hole. Watch how many times he got to rep the counter tray in Green Bay. He ran it to perfection. The patience, the tempo, when to get outside, he was so good because he had done it so long. Sometimes you may not get that same sense in a practice. Now, there are some guys that are so gifted. I remember
it no matter what.
Ed Stewart saw LP when he was running with the threes one time, and he was like, yeah, he won't be there long. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just
jumps off the page.
So some guys you can see that, but at the quarterback spot in a new offense,
some guys might need to settle in.
It may just be like Love.
Because as a second team reps guy, you're probably not getting to settle in much, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Is that Mariah Carey, Shane? That's right. We're still not playing music.
Settle in? Takes love?
Love takes time.
Oh, love takes time. Well,
Cuff It?
Apparently.
Oh, no, that's Beyonce.
Oh. Coming back, we got more Benning and Lulla.
We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Welcome back to the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla, wrapping up hour number 2 here on a Football Friday. We're enjoying a little Breakfast Blitz. Getting our bacon game right. No pancakes for DB, as we learned earlier. He's out on pancakes.
Yeah, bacon has to be the go because I have to drive, and it is game day. It's going to be not near as long of a day without eating.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good because you got the start moved up a little bit.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
4:00 in Norfolk. Enjoy that. Enjoy lovely Northeast Nebraska.
I've been running through these snack packs. I had like probably 7 maybe.
What kind of snack packs are we talking about?
So
here?
they're just like little things in there, like meat, cheese,
like a
almonds,
Lunchable.
Yeah, but an adult Lunchable, not like
like a charcuterie board.
Yeah, except in like a little
pack.
Tupperware container.
Okay.
And I feel like I had like 7 or 8, and I'm down to 1.
Is there a thief in the house?
I feel like I'm on the go so much, so sometimes
You
I
go
just
through
put
'em.
them. Yeah,
I thought maybe you're.
and it's really, really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did. So there was one in the fridge,
Mhm.
and I think it had like some pepperoni, but the rind was still on there, and I know that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whatever meathead was trying to eat out of there didn't, so I think it discouraged him. So I was glad about that.
A little deterrent.
Yeah, but he ate my cheese, so I'm livid. So I took the other 2 to school.
Well, I mean, listen,
I'm not sharing.
He's stealing fruit snacks from his little sister. I think your stuff is fair game.
Man, it's like plus with modular scheduling, he like just comes home.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't always know. Like I can see the garage open, but
yeah,
sometimes I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my guy's hungry. What do you want to do?
And he's yeah.
He's a growing boy.
Flipping kid. Yeah. So
I feel like you said something during the break.
I say a lot during the break.
Yeah, we don't need to go to air with all of it, but occasionally you say something that kind of sparks my thought here. I don't feel like I'm trying to shove Heinrich Harburg down your throat. Is that the impression you're getting?
Yes.
Oh, I don't. That's not what I'm trying to do.
I absolutely feel. And full disclosure, I don't care who starts.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, like, I don't know. Like, I just want to know how people's minds work.
So if that's the impression you got, I'm not doing a very good job, because I don't think that. I think they're going to need both of them for the season. I think they will need both guys, especially with the state of the running back room. If they want to be a power spread run team, I think they're going to need both quarterbacks, because you're going to be talking about probably 20 to 25 QB carries a game from here on out, I'd guess.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to need both guys to do that, whether it's within the same game, whether it's guy gets a little nicked up like Sims did 2 weeks ago against Colorado. I think you're going to need both guys to finish the season. I'm simply trying to process through the decision-making process. And since seems like you're leaning Sims if he's healthy.
No, I'm leaning context of why.
They picked Sims in the first place.
Yeah.
So you're still leaning Sims, but not because
that's what I've been on all week.
So I'm just trying to offer the other perspective. And so that's why it feels like I'm shoving Harburg, is because your perspective is it probably needs to be Sims if he's healthy, which I understand. And my perspective is, okay, under what circumstances would it be Harburg? That's all I'm trying to do.
So you want it in a real nutshell?
Yeah.
So they've evaluated these guys all off season, and then games happen. Right. So in order for them to feel good about their decision, if they make a decision, they'd like to see it on as even footing as possible.
So Sims this week is as even footing as possible as you're going to get for now. Right.
Unless you feel like, and it's not like you're stretching it out and just sacrificing games.
Right. You're not like throwing games to figure it out.
But there is some curiosity there.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right.
No, I get it. I'm curious to see what Jeff Sims looks like.
That's my whole, that's the whole kit and caboodle.
I'm just as curious to see what Jeff Sims looked like against a group of 5 opponent at home, as opposed to 2 Power 5 opponents on the road.
And I think it bugs me how we kind of pick and choose as a fan base, even though we have the same set of criteria for different guys.
Pick and choose how?
Well, I mean, we're pretty excited about Anthony Grant, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, he looked really good against Northern Illinois.
Were you doing the show with me after Minnesota?
It's exciting.
Yeah, it was almost a knockdown drag out why I had to defend Anthony Grant.
Yeah. No, I know.
Right? So
it's a double standard.
It's amazing.
It's been going on Twitter for the last 3 days, I think. Just the argument between Sims and AG.
I just want to know, like, and not even that you have to like come around. I like to understand how the human mind
people's
works.
mind processes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know that I'm as out on AG as some people were after Minnesota.
You sat next to me.
Yeah.
You know if you were as out as people were.
I wasn't as out as people were. I was frustrated about the fumble.
Okay, because I felt like I had to have the conversation with you too.
You did, but you explained it to me in a way that I understood. You said,
but that doesn't mean I was right. I just was telling you, like,
no. But
what if they think that at that time he gave them the best chance to have success?
And I said, if that's true, then I get it.
Okay,
right?
Because I really think that's how these guys coach.
And if you look at,
I really do.
Well, if you look at last week, between Gabe Irvin's carries and Anthony Grant's carries, Anthony Grant looked like the better runner. Even against Minnesota, Anthony Grant, his carries, he looked like the better runner. So I
don't tell that to Saturday. He told me to.
Well, Saturday.
Wait, where is Saturday today? Is he working? Oh no, there he is. Oh, here he goes.
Oh, he's going off.
Hey,
again.
right on cue.
Yeah. No, he's always the first one.
How many turnovers does Sims have tomorrow? I don't know. Saturday.
Listen, I understand.
Can I call him something other than Saturday?
I would just start calling him Jeff.
Jeff.
That's what I would do.
What if his name isn't Jeff, though?
Well, his name's probably not Saturday either.
It's a good call.
I mean,
although there is a Wednesday.
Adams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware. She's a fictional character.
Oh, that's not real?
Was that? No, it's not a documentary.
Oh.
Or a mockumentary.
I stopped watching that series. It was pretty good, though. I just ran out of time.
Yeah.
I used to watch Wednesday.
My wife liked it, the new one, the new Wednesday series. Yeah. It was pretty good. I'm not
so
usually.
I'm kind of with that. I'm like 3 in.
Yeah, I'm usually not into that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it.
Oh, that's weird.
What?
High five, Natasha.
No, yeah, she's got good taste. She's the reason I started watching Breaking Bad.
Still never seen that show.
It's quality. I mean, you're probably never gonna catch up on it because you don't have any time. But
see, this is. Oh man, I need to. If I could reach you, I would choke you. This dude just said Grant is back in his role because 2 guys got hurt. DB. Now spin it. It's not. That's flat. That's a lie. Like that's not even remotely. How can you even type that with straight fingers?
Well, we don't know. Maybe he's got some arthritis. We don't know what his fingers look like.
He did say Saturday, and he called me a knucklehead. I'm all right.
We out on Saturday? We out?
I don't. I wanted to be his friend, man. He's kind of mean spirited.
So he's saying his name's Saturday.
That's what he just said.
Is his last name Knight? Oh.
You can read just like I can. It says it's Saturday, DB. He put it in caps, and then he says, "You knucklehead."
I'm gonna still call him Jeff.
That's what my buddy calls me.
What, Jeff or knucklehead?
Knucklehead.
Okay, I was like, I don't know why they call you Jeff.
That's like his favorite term. Maybe Saturday is my buddy Chris.
Maybe. Who knows?
He's kind of crazy like that.
Saturday or Chris?
They both have some
similarities,
mannerisms.
Yeah, no. So the deal with Anthony Grant,
my guy is repairing any buildings today.
Like the deal,
no big deal.
Hey man, you working?
The deal with Anthony Grant is, I think, pretty clear. He was always the most talented runner in the room. He got shuttled down the depth chart for, I think, ball security reasons. I mean, is that fair?
That's what we heard,
right? That's what we were told. Is he's not? He wasn't taking care of the football, so we got shuffled down the depth chart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen, though, every time he's played, he's been the best runner. I mean, I don't think that's controversial, right? So, yes, he's thrust back into that situation as the clear-cut starter because of injuries, but he was always the best runner. So we're talking about a different thing here. Let's get to the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline. Guy wants to talk about Sims' ceiling. Guy, what do you have for us this morning?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I think we need to maybe reevaluate the terminology of this. Sims has a higher ceiling and Harburg has a higher floor. Thinking about it, it's how many snaps has Sims taken in his collegiate career compared to Harburg?
A lot more.
Neither one of them. Yeah, neither one of them has hit the deep ball, to my recollection. At least not with a Husker uniform on.
Yeah.
So, going back to, I think what Damon said just a little bit ago, everybody gets more comfortable with more snaps. And so I think that there's probably a higher ceiling, not necessarily higher than Sims, but a higher ceiling for Harburg than what we're giving him credit for. The more reps that he gets, I think, the more.
So Guy, I'm with you, but the distinction is, I think, in this discussion is compared to one another.
Yeah, not to
themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then I go to a line of thinking of who is operating the offense so far in a more complementary fashion. And what I mean by that is Sims so far has demonstrated he has lost snaps on the offensive side due to when he was in the game. And again, I'm going to go back to the other day saying it's the totality of the offense. There's less procedural calls. There's probably less blocks or missed blocks, so on and so forth. I know if I'm against it, but just because one runs like a gazelle and the other one runs like a rhino, doesn't, I mean, they're both running.
Yeah.
Guy, we appreciate the call as always.
I after so I know what he's saying. We're quick to put a cap on Harburg as a game manager, and maybe he's capable of being more than a game manager.
Down the road, maybe. I think that's what he is right now.
I think that's what he's saying. I think that's what I hear guys saying.
I agree. Coming up next, we've got Mike Sautter here from Hurrdat Sports.
We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
I would agree, Damon.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
Kicking off hour number 3 on a Football Friday with Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports. Sautter, what's up?
Not much. I'm on. Is this on? Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Feels like it's turned down really low. Yeah. You don't like your intro?
Shane, change it.
What's wrong with your intro?
Tennis on behind me. That's weird.
You good?
I'm good.
He just walked in. He said, "I'm fired up." He was mad, and then we sat down, and he's trying to get his composure.
It's dark. Why is it so dark? You guys
So
trying to take a nap?
No, you know what's interesting is
people
Sasha
asleep.
nor Cam have turned on the lights yet.
Yeah, usually they
You
get
need somebody else to turn the lights on.
No, they hit us with the overhead.
What do you want me to do? Reach up there and grab it?
Isn't there just a switch
I have no idea.
on the wall? That's what I'm saying. Hey,
How did Shane do that?
That wasn't like an invitation to do it. That is right.
Who did that? Shane, was that you?
Nobody.
No,
could
that
do
was Cam.
I think in the biblical terms, it didn't someone say "Let there be light"?
And God said, "Let there be light."
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, someone said it for sure.
I said that. I didn't know.
Sauter's just trying not to get struck by lightning.
I might today. I'm gonna be outside a lot.
Speaking of which, man, how was the environment last night? You saw a doozy. I watched you and little Jacobs have your little discussion.
You like those?
Yeah, I like those a lot.
Yeah, we just give final thoughts. I created that in my own mind.
I like that. I like the final thoughts. I like you get to interview coaches. Coach Martin was
good.
I
think he wanted to get his kids out of there as quick as he.
Yeah,
possibly could.
I've played in that series.
He was in a hurry.
I mean, I've coached in that series. It's intense.
Well, a lot of people there.
Yeah,
and it could have been a powder keg. I mean, there was, stuff that happened not on the field.
Yeah.
Where people had to be called in to help.
Did you say majestic view? The majestic
It's
view
great.
down to it's beautiful.
It's
I told you the
it's
first couple of
amazing.
times
At
I
night,
was there.
It is awesome.
I almost got the sense I was going to fall off and on the
it's kind of
interstate.
weird.
Yeah.
Especially on that one back corner.
It is pretty.
Yeah, I like being there at night. I haven't been there for a game in a long time.
Yeah.
And I even said, a couple times to Coach Mackey and Coach Muhammad, I said, hey, hasn't been this much buzz for a Omaha Central home game in a long time. And it turned out to be can we say that last night was the difference between competitive and good?
Yes. Highly competitive.
Yeah.
Not that good.
Yeah. It
In
wasn't
terms
great.
of execution.
There were 30-some penalties or flags thrown.
I think I stopped at 28, but I didn't want to harp on the
I think it was like 30, 31.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's super competitive, and quarterback play was just okay, I thought.
Yeah.
But Champ David, when it mattered, Circo had to step up and make a throw, and he did.
Champ's personality is one where he wanted the one back that he didn't get over the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And they went back to the same concept. They must have seen something with that scissors concept against Central.
They couldn't run. I was surprised that North wasn't able to run the ball very well. Like they wanted to, I guess.
Yeah.
Central was able to actually run the ball
a little
decently
bit, yeah.
well. Like in times,
I think
right?
a lot
Haney's
of that was more about Haney's individual talent.
Yeah.
Especially like when he got to the corners.
Yeah.
Like he just was fast.
Listen, that kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
Freshman, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like came up with a big sack too. I would like Central's game plan, kind of playing light, right? And run around a little bit. It didn't look great. Stephen Owasu was out with an Achilles or something, and he's 325 nose guard. So for Central, but there's a lot to like about what Central did last night. I thought, even in a loss, I think they're definitely athletic. And
it's weird. Some people felt like, and I know you said this, so you didn't like get me to this, but for the majority of the game, North was in control. It's Central made the most of their opportunities.
Yeah.
And sometimes football is just like that. And so then all of a sudden you let a talented team hang around.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what happened.
And they can make some plays because the first touchdown pass
that should have been intercepted.
That should have been picked.
Yeah. for sure.
He
just misjudged the pick.
So they
They
got away with one on a ball that shouldn't have been thrown, and then you let a good team get
momentum.
You let those guys get going, and then I'm like, oh boy, better buckle up now.
Sean made a heck of a catch. Though.
He's tough.
He's real tough.
He's very good, and
he doesn't play defense. I was surprised. I thought he played defense.
So the whole two-way thing has become a thing this year, right? But I felt like, Newsome's coming around. He was under duress at times.
BJ, yeah. Tyson Terry was a killer last night.
Yeah, when he goes to all fours, he's getting after the pass.
And they moved him in and out a little bit too defensively.
Yeah. I think you have to play him. I think you have to play him that way. But
I got to give credit to someone that I didn't in a tweet. Smarty Henderson was actually the lead blocker on the game-winning touchdown.
You just said Terry, and it was 70 and 54.
I didn't see him because I was standing on the back of the end zone. I didn't see him, and then after rewatching,
they used to call that truck. I don't know what they do it now, but they're notorious for that.
Yeah, the two biggest guys,
two big guys.
Yeah, Tyson didn't even block anyone actually on the play. Smarty Henderson cleared it out for him.
Yeah.
Had a really good block.
Smarty is dialed in. He's pretty good.
He's a large person.
When he like sometimes I think he worries about hitting 400-foot home runs because he can hit a ball and he's a good baseball player.
He is.
No, I'm dead serious.
I think he's a pitcher too.
He can.
How about like a 6'6" ish?
Yeah,
and like 285.
So
that's a big pitcher.
I know everybody was like gaffing over the squib kick. But I've been there. That stuff happens on miscommunication.
He did well.
And you mishit it, and it looks bad.
Yeah, he did. He said we wanted to squib it, not onside. It looked like more of an onside.
Yeah, it cannot hit a body because then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, 2 timeouts, 30 seconds left from the 45 or whatever.
Not ideal,
but
wasn't great.
North Hill. I felt like the coolest thing about that game was both teams staying in it when it would be easy to have tapped. It was 13-0. It didn't look good. Norse maybe a possession away from putting that away.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And Central was like, nah, I don't think so.
We're still here.
Then Central scores late, and North could have been in their fields a little bit. And they're like, nah, I don't think so. Like, I think that's why you play it.
It was good. And the defensive pass interference call that kept the game alive for North. I thought it was the right call.
I did too.
Kind of reach around, grab.
You were in agreement with that as well.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, because both on the angle on TV and then the angle that Sautter had
from the back,
his phone on the back end, I thought it was pretty clear. I didn't think it was terribly controversial.
And even on the rewatch, Docs was like, "Oh, my bad. I think that was PI." Because at first he didn't think so either.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Central thought it was not a good call.
I mean, I understand in that situation, like you're not going to like that call, no matter how obvious it is.
I've been there,
even after the game.
Yeah, no matter how obvious it is,
it's fresh.
It's a fourth down. It's the difference probably between a win and a loss. I mean, that's absolutely. You're going to be upset about it whether it's the right call or not. Like,
was 57-10 last night more about North Star or Millard South?
Well, remember when you guys remember a couple weeks ago when North Star put up 96 and Benson had 0, and everyone said, "Man, North Star must be really good."
No, nobody said that.
I didn't hear that.
People said North Star didn't take their foot off the gas. I don't know if anybody said that they were good.
Because I was like, well, I don't know. You probably need to know the story behind what Benson is going through right now. And then it finally came out, a little bit. So I don't know. I think Millard South's pretty good. Marion Jackson had a big night again, 3 touchdowns. And
do you think they're the best defense in the state?
Who?
I'm just asking. It's been put out there.
I've said publicly multiple times. I will skirt around this answer. Great. I've said multiple times. I think they have the best defensive line in the state. I've said that. I've said it. I don't have a problem saying that. And that's my answer.
Okay. That didn't answer the question.
Yeah. So
I've said they have the best defense. I've said it more than once. I've said it a lot.
I think they have a very good defense.
Their defensive line is great. And
who's the guy you really like, Laquanda?
JR.
Laquana. Yeah, I like Aiden Miller too.
Aiden Miller and JR.
Laquana's my guy.
Yeah. They're really good.
Yeah. No, it's a good D line.
So their D line's really good. It's tough to run on, all that. They're getting sacks and pressures and everything. It's Glab's all right too. Another lineman they have, Max Gray, they can move in there. I think the one key guy for them doesn't get talked about enough is Cade Nolan, outside linebacker, because he is. I'm not one that I would like. I don't, physically fight people often, or really ever.
Except for when you're wrestling other
Except for
grown
when I
men.
wrestle grown men.
Yeah.
But that guy is one that you're like, if you see him, if he's mad at you and you see him in a dark place, it's probably not going to go well for you.
You don't want to be involved there.
Yeah, no. But he also can get a little chippy and push the edge and stuff a little bit, which isn't great. He's an excellent wrestler. So that's probably why I have a little affinity for him. But yeah, I think Miller South is good. I said it. I mean, geez. I don't know. Sometimes I think Millard South people think I don't like them, which is odd.
I always tell you, why do you let that bother you? So that makes me even more mad than the fact that they're mad at you. Like, we know this.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's weird, though. It's a weird, it's chip on the shoulder thing.
People hear what they want to hear, right? Like,
yeah.
One of their coaches is my neighbor. He's cooler than a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Is it Coach Wisdom?
Listen.
No, I like him. You know, I like him.
Yeah,
too.
couple weeks, we'll find out. Like, we'll find out in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
that's a matchup I'm looking forward to.
If that doesn't win my game,
if that doesn't
win my game of the week, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna.
No, you're voting.
I think it helps that we're playing Kearney first too, though.
Kearney's really good.
Kearney's good.
We talked to Coach Cool this morning. He was fantastic.
That's a tough road trip for you guys too.
It is.
Like, that's not.
Kearney does it all the time.
I understand that, but because they do it all the time, I asked him that question.
This is how you know you talk to a non-coach, non-athlete. What does that have to do with? What does the fact that Kearney timeout? What does the fact that Kearney travels all the time have to do with the fact that I said it's a tough road trip for Westside?
It is a tough one. Okay, it's a tough road trip.
No, I'm curious. Like, what does that have to do with what I said?
Sometimes when the Metro teams have to go to Grand Island, Kearney, Norfolk, North Platte, whatever, it is a huge deal, and everyone makes a huge deal about it. What about the opposite end when those kids do it every week?
So first of all,
they're used to doing it.
First of all, I'm just okay. So
that matters a ton.
So number one,
and environment matters. I get all those things.
Okay, so you answered your own question.
Yes.
All right.
I asked,
but having said all that, all the things that you answered for yourself, it still didn't have anything to do with what I said.
No, Kearney's
we're
good.
going to Kearney to play a good football.
They're good.
Period.
No,
didn't say anything about the 2-hour and 40-minute trip. Didn't say anything about getting our happy asses on a bus. I didn't say any of that. Don't put that on me. You're really good at what everybody said, and 90% of the time, I don't know who everybody is. So I like to keep the fire in the fireplace before you get that goddamn thing in the fire. We clear?
I'm trying to get that.
You going Matt Rhule? Don't put that on me.
Yeah, man. I just sometimes we have to set the record straight before we move on.
That's great. All right.
No,
Carney's really good.
Yes.
And Damon, you and I talked about it earlier this week. Sawyer Schilke's really good player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Like, that kid needs he's gonna need.
Well, I told Coach Cool about Coach Huffman's sentiments. I mean, he put him in rare company.
Yeah, very rare.
Right.
Like,
so it was Christian, Caleb,
Tyson, Caleb, Christian Jones,
and Silky,
and him. And
nope, there's one more
I'm missing.
There's one more I'm missing.
Yeah, which is like,
I mean,
you're talking about that doesn't happen very often.
Very best players in the state.
Yeah, basically. Defensively for sure.
No,
well, I don't know. If you
he's a big, strong kid.
Silky.
Yeah, just what
he is 6'4", about 225.
And he said he's a young junior too. Like still,
yeah,
still kind of growing into it.
Okay, let me find it.
If you tell me the opponents, I'll know the player.
Yeah, I'll find it. McClay.
Zach McClay.
Yeah, that's from prep.
Yeah.
Which,
you're real high on him too.
All of those, yeah.
So
he's way.
I have to be careful because, like, with our players,
he's good.
They get like they get mad, right?
They get mad at you.
So they have to understand my job, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not just gonna inflate something. So if I think somebody can play, then I think they can play.
Yeah.
And they may play the same position. They may not. Like I can say I like
You may have
Laquana.
played them. You may
That
not have
doesn't mean
played
I
them.
don't like Campbell. It doesn't mean I don't like RJ. It doesn't mean I don't like JQ.
Yeah.
So,
Just because you like somebody else doesn't mean you don't like your guys more. Or
yeah,
you like your guys.
they find ways to stay motivated.
Or hey, if you ask people on Twitter, all you guys and me, all we talk about is West Side all the time.
So
that's a little bit my fault.
So the other thing with that is, was it kind of a light schedule for you this week in terms of
matchups? A lot of great.
So where are you going tonight?
I'm going to a matchup of two undefeated teams, a bit of a rivalry, actually. Is it Nebraska City Lords or Lords Central Catholic? I think they want to be called Lords Central Catholic.
I do too, but
I always call it Nebraska
historically,
City Lords, because Lords they play at Johnson Brock in Johnson. I was there for BDS Johnson Brock last year. Turf Field, one of the few turf field, 8-man turf field.
Bruning Davenport Shickley.
Yeah, Bruning Davenport Shickley. Don't forget the Shickley part, because you can't.
Would never.
Yeah, they will. No, they'll come after you.
Is that different than the K-pop band BTS? That's different.
I don't. Yeah.
Yes.
Not the same thing.
So, anyway, that's where I'm going tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Coach Roberts is a good coach. Met him, and I've known him for a little bit. And they had a nice team last year. Johnson Brock, both are undefeated, and it's good. Hospitality is good down there.
So what's the drive for you?
It's like an hour.
You got a couple of doozies in Class B too.
What, Elkhorn?
I think
Bennington.
I don't know if that's going to be a great game.
I don't think so.
York has York's got
York Waverly.
Yeah,
at York.
That's going to be a good one.
Will someone score 17 points in that game?
And York Waverly?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, it'll probably be 14-10.
Yeah, I don't think so unless there's an inordinate amount of turnovers.
Yeah, and it's going to be tight. Both defenses are pretty good.
I don't know how Elkhorn is going to score.
I'll say you said you don't think Elkhorn's hanging with Bennington.
No.
I don't know how they're going to score.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough
Bennington's
to score.
defense is
You said maybe a garbage time touchdown. Is that what you said in the tweet?
I think I didn't tweet anything.
I saw something about you.
A text.
Oh, text. I don't
Gosh, putting the private out in the public.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I didn't say a number.
Where are you going? Southeast?
North southeast. Yeah, Miller North Southeast.
Miller North Southeast. We'll have someone there tonight, capturing some visuals, video for that. Our big game is Bennington. Our Hurrdat Sports big game with the big game chain is Bennington Elkhorn game, because we haven't done Class B, and I was like, okay, you guys should let's probably go there. Jacob Padilla will not be anywhere. He has Nebraska volleyball tonight.
Yeah, they got a top 15 weekend.
Yeah, so we have we'll have some visual stuff even from the Central North game that we haven't put out yet. And then we have some Millard South Lincoln North Star visuals that haven't put out yet.
So who you sending out to the game I'm going to be at?
Somebody.
Oh, okay, good.
One of our visual guys. So
good talk.
Do you do that? You could take your Rockbrook camera out there.
I can if you want
you
me
have
to.
One?
I mean,
you have a camera? Wait, are we just finding this out?
My cell phone.
Oh,
I'm not a photographer.
I resorted to cell phone, just using my cell phone video stuff last night because it was just coming in hot.
Yeah,
when you can tell, like if it's close, like play. I want to get this out.
Gotta get it out. Yeah.
Then I just use my phone, which isn't as good, obviously.
So let me ask you something, because we talk about West Side, we talk about Millard South, we talked about Kearney. Millard West has got to be somewhere in that, right? They've had the close game against Millard South.
That's probably the one, extra point miss, whatever, is the only reason why that game would have went to overtime, so you don't know, but that's the only reason why they're, I think, not talked about as much. Brody Peterson's having a nice year.
Dude,
and Jackson Williams, who we all
tough.
love. Jackson Williams, who I think everyone loves that kid.
Yeah.
He's a great kid, multi-sport athlete. Love that.
Plus, they have a tough style, too.
Yeah. They're physical, tough, hard-nosed, all those things.
They get you with edge run game, can run the ball between the tackles still.
We talked with Coach Peterson last week a lot about his two-back run game.
Yeah, right. He was actually pretty funny last week.
He was in a good mood.
He can be funny.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just like
sometimes it takes him a little bit to get there.
Yeah, he was
circle.
good.
I think it needs a trust thing, right? Like it taking some time for me and him, I think, to build that over time.
Yeah, I need to talk to him about that old Shoot.
With me or
That
just in
little
general?
That Mike Sautter, man. I don't know.
I don't know about him.
Mike
Hey, you
Sautter
guys-
has a way of
I don't
driving
know.
people crazy.
Did you guys ask Coach Cool about how my JV football prowess?
We didn't
Oh.
get to it.
Yeah.
No.
Shut up, Bo.
What?
So wait.
So he was my JV football coach my sophomore year of high school when I weighed 110 pounds. As a sophomore, yes, I did, and I ate
Nobody
whatever I
can do
wanted.
that.
So
You
were,
could, Shane.
You were like Shane weight
Yeah.
as a junior or
In
as
high
a
school,
sophomore in high
yeah,
school trying to play
sophomore.
JV football.
Yeah, I played. I remember catching a punt and him telling me, "Just catch it, don't drop it." And I caught it. I did not fair catch it, and the next thing I know, he was standing over me. I'm looking up to the sky.
Man, what is going on?
I did not. I had the ball in my hand though.
Dude,
So
our comment section, there
what?
may be a fight.
for what? What happened?
It's just blowing up.
On what? What did I do?
Now Saturday's accusing people of having a lot of Rhule burner accounts.
Rhule.
I think Saturday just torched the whole comment section.
That's right.
It is truly out of control. Then our man Eric goes, "Tell me you don't understand the landscape of high school football without telling me you don't understand the landscape of high school football."
Talking about me?
No, I don't know who he's talking
Oh.
to. I don't know. It's just it's tight. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah, everybody's popping off.
Yeah,
over
it's
there.
a
I
little
don't-
tight right
I don't
now.
really know what's
Well,
happening.
you're the one that came in all dialed up.
That's true.
I got a day.
What's
So,
your day?
My wife couldn't take one of the kids like normal in the morning. So I
Oh,
take
you had
both
the parent.
kids.
Here we go.
I had to be an actual parent for the
You could be
second
like
time this
Asian White and his wife. He's got both kids.
For the second time this week, I had to be an actual parent to my kids by
Oh, my-
myself
Life is tough.
and get all that done.
That's just totally
So,
uncalled for.
Monday night,
You
I
don't
had
even
to-
like kids.
Dude, I love that Asian White comes in here and one of his kids has a tough hang shirt on.
That's the greatest T-shirt ever.
That's elite.
That's a
Tough hang.
It is a tough hang. some
Tough
days.
hang.
So I had to get them both. I
And
was
she's
running
looking at
late.
you like she knows it too.
I was running late, and then I got to go to Lincoln because basketball stuff. The University of Nebraska, some basketball stuff this morning. A little bit of availability, so I got to do that, and then I got to run home, let the dogs out, and then I got to go to Johnson.
I want to talk.
I'm gonna get you some cheese to
Are you
go with
guys-
that wine.
I ain't
No big
whining.
deal.
You
I'm
guys
just
stick
saying, it's a
around for
day.
another segment here?
Would you like me to?
Yeah, because I have a question. We're gonna do our
Wanna do
sports
some
cleanup
basketball?
here. I want to talk about maybe a little commitment that happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
you had a little video on. We can get to that as well as
I got a little time.
If there's any other lingering questions we have about high school, or maybe we can see
The comment
what-
section. I need to read
Yeah,
this
we
real
need to
quick.
catch up on the
Am I-
comment section because people are getting.
I weigh 120. I weigh 170.
Ooh.
How much would it take? How much would you have to be paid to take a carry in a college football game for Nebraska?
Not very much.
Like you wouldn't? Would you
From the one?
No, just
goal line.
Just any formation, you have to take a carry.
I would just.
You
do
just
it.
do it for free.
I just go out there
Because
today.
Shane was trying to get like $100,000.
No, I
for
go
it.
today and do it. I wouldn't even. I got
Plus
health
NIL.
insurance. I'm good.
Plus NIL.
I got
Yeah, I'm good.
Health
I could do it.
insurance. Yeah, Shane wanted NIL, $100K, health covered.
And some assurance.
He wanted life flight at the field.
I'm straight.
Your
I'm
insurance
good.
will cover it, but then it'll go way up.
Hey, dog, I'm straight.
That's not how health insurance works, man.
You said it's got to be paid somehow.
It's not car insurance.
Nah, I'm good.
Come
Give me
on.
one carry. I'll get you half a yard.
That's not true.
You're not. I don't think you're getting half a yard.
You got to get a yard at least.
I
was
could get
told-
a yard,
I was
Shane.
told a yard at least.
I could get a yard.
We've got the sports cleanup coming up next.
We will be back in 5 minutes. We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla.
Nebraska, play action pass, looking down the middle. Marcus Washington on the catch and a big gain. The first down for the Husker offense.
So we have to play our best football game. Every week I challenge the team two things. Don't want to know this. Win the game.
Get my nuts. Get my nuts.
It's a pass. It's kept. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Thought they played like a team, which was really important to me.
Freaking bats.
Game up the middle. Touchdown, Nebraska. Gabe Irvin, his first touchdown of the season.
That's really the culture we want to have.
It smells delish.
Harvard's got it right side. Bird, touchdown!
That's kind of how we want to play at the end, right?
Like you're winning. Winning it like you're winning.
This is a 29-yard field goal attempt to win the game for Nebraska. In what would be a miraculous comeback in the final 40 seconds. Brown for the win. The kick is up. And it is good. He got it. Nebraska wins it.
We win one tomorrow. That's called a winning streak. It has happened before. So let's see some hustle. Let's jack it up a little.
Sets, throws, patted down. Intercepted at Dominican Sue. Sue to the 20, 15. Hawkins traps him, knocks him. Touchdown, Sue.
That's how winning is done.
This is an attempt of 57 yards. Does he have enough? Is it long enough? He got it!
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take it!
What's been kind of a subdued week, right?
I tell you what, you give me some Rocky music, I'm ready to go.
I like that. That's one of my favorite scenes from that entire series.
Yeah, that's a terrific scene.
I'm normally ready to go.
What are we waiting for?
Yeah, Sautter wakes up choosing violence. He's going to stick with us here for the War
He did
Horse.
come in kind of surly.
He did. It's time for the War Horse Sportsbook Sports Cleanup. Just a reminder, War Horse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. You can go to warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook for more info. I don't know. I never know when kids are going. They're just running around all over the place.
Tough hang.
What's going on?
Tough hang.
She's just doing her own little thing. She's getting her own world there.
Just like kind of just it's whatever.
Working my life away.
Sauter's also often in his own world, but his world in a few short weeks here at this point is going to be basketball. Sauter's kind of taken over as I'm going to call him our chief basketball correspondent.
This is a Sautter takeover.
He's
you created that title, by the way.
I did. Yeah.
If you ask our boss Sasha, which, by the way, did you guys talk about the hockey game? It was a good time.
Yeah, I just like the whole card.
The sign.
No. Did you not see Debo Samuel and Lil Durk last night?
Yeah,
we spoke it into existence.
I thought you were talking about they got me on that. This guy hates the Jets with arrows on.
I don't care about that.
Lil Durk.
Yeah, I know. It was a good time. Anyway,
but so Sauter's going to be
she
kind
shoots,
of
she scores.
Quarterbacking our
wow. Whoa, kind of low key hating over here.
What a hater!
But it's kind of the Sautter thing to do.
He's going to be kind of quarterbacking point guarding, I guess, our basketball coverage of Nebraska, Creighton, and high school this winter. So part of that, you had a video yesterday on this announcement of Larry Johnson committing to Creighton.
Great kid.
4-star, top 100 guy. Creighton's like depending on where you look, top 10, top 12 class nationally now for 2024 with Jackson McAndrew being the top-rated guy. Who's top 40 now?
Yeah, 39.
So
39
are putting together a nice little class there. What can you tell us about Larry Johnson?
So Larry Johnson, just watching as much film and tape stuff and talked to obviously a couple coaches about him and uber athletic.
Elite.
Elite athlete, I believe. He's an elite athlete. His shot isn't quite all the way there yet. But gosh, this is a tough comp, but I think Trey Alexander, but probably with a little more pop, bounce.
Yeah, I don't look at Trey Alexander as
overly athletic.
A hyper athlete.
Yeah.
He's a good athlete. Yeah. He's a smooth athlete. He's really good at the body control.
Yeah.
He's not a super run fast, jump high athlete. He's more of a body control athlete.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Larry Johnson is the other thing.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. He will.
How do you think that fits with Mac? He hasn't had one of those.
He hasn't had a guy like that.
No, he really hasn't. Not at the guard spot. I think that's kind of what they thought.
That isn't a shoot. You know what I mean? He hasn't had one of those.
That's kind of, I think, what they thought Kaluma sort of was at the forward spot. He certainly, I don't think, has had one at the guard spot. Not of this caliber for sure. I mean, the closest thing I can think of, I go back to a Nevin Johnson who was there for a hot minute.
Yeah. You know, he thought you said Navin R. Johnson. I was like, nah, there's some jerks out there, but not Navin R. Johnson, as in Steve Martin.
Oh, I don't
Nevin.
know. I don't know.
No,
Nevin.
he was at Creighton
Nevin.
for like a year.
I don't know the Steve Martin. I don't watch movies.
Yeah, I don't know the Steve Martin reference either. But I'm not a Steve Martin guy. It's just he's not my.
It's one of the greatest movies ever.
Airplane? Wait, was
Jerk.
that him? No.
Yeah.
The jerk.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
called-
I don't know.
It's
I've never seen it.
It's, you
I
should
get the
know all-
joke now.
Yeah, well, you
That's
should
funny.
know all about that.
His autobiography.
Wow.
His biopic.
No, yeah. So basketball will be fun. So yeah, it's something that I think I've wanted to do for a long time, right? Is be a little more visible on that scene, if you will, and fortunate to be entrusted with kind of I don't know if lead is the word that I would use, but being able to, I will focus the majority of my time, I guess, on Nebraska men's basketball. Drake for us will do Nebraska women's basketball, and Jacob will switch from Nebraska to Creighton. And then I will, my game plan in my mind is to do Nebraska and Creighton, handle some of the
I can't wait to hear more from Drake.
handle some of the more of the recruiting things, right? Just because I like that world.
More the
right?
recruiting
Just-
side of high school
yeah.
rather than the game by game.
Yeah, we'll still. I have a game plan on
Sure.
how we're going to attack game coverage, but I'm excited about it. Obviously, I think we have a good team, and not giving up high school by any means.
Sure, sure.
I just won't go to 8 high school games a week. I'll probably go to 2 or 3. So, which is probably enough, right?
Yeah.
So-
And you're a big Drake guy. You love Drake.
Drake Keeler.
Yeah, I just want him to like because there's a lot in there. So I just kind of want to
You
spend
want the
some
flower
time.
to bloom.
Yeah, I just want him to like.
And
yeah.
and women's basketball is kind of his sweet spot too,
Yeah,
right?
and I
he
like
likes it.
and I like
Yeah.
women's basketball.
He likes it. Yeah, they're
So
good.
So that'll be good.
It'll be good.
Did you know Amy Williams is a photographer?
Yeah.
She plays. I just saw her at softball.
Yeah,
One
she's
of
really
one
good
of
at that.
Kennedy's softball games, and I was like, "Hey,
I've seen her at high school games, like when we've had the doubleheader with Southwest, and she's
yeah."
yeah.
I walked over to her. I go, "Do you need help with that?"
Yeah,
Like,
she's
how to
my
use
neighbor.
that?"
We went to college together.
Oh,
Amy?
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah. She knows way more about me than she should. No, not. Jiminy Christmas.
Hey man. Hey.
No.
Hey, can we? I also need, while we're talking recruiting stuff here a little bit, but President Sanchez, the 113-pounder from Creighton Prep, committed to Maryland. Wrestling. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a wrestling little hit for you.
I like that. East Coast is kind of getting busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NC State's had success.
There's a lot of wrestlers.
Virginia's had success.
There's a lot of
In-
Division
now
I wrestlers.
Maryland.
It's a little. I think people talk about like it's kind of similar to like baseball / volleyball a little bit on like, man, there's a lot of talented Division One.
I gotta ask. I wonder what the
I don't know.
connection to Maryland is.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying. But
And it's
that's
just
something.
funny because Virginia has established some roots in the last couple of years
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we've gotten a few
And now
guys,
right
few
down
guys
the road,
transfer. But
right down the road, it's Maryland.
yeah. So anyway, sorry, I just need to slip that in there. But basketball will be good. Yeah, it's I'm passionate about basketball. I don't know if people know this or not about me, but I enjoy the sport a lot. I would say it's probably my favorite one. And
It's okay. You can say that out loud. It's
yeah,
all right.
I know. I like to do other stuff too, but
Doesn't have to be a secret.
I'm a big basketball guy. That's how I got my start, was basketball around here. So
Yeah.
looking forward to the next evolving chapter of that. And
I'm sure
how
that
we
staff will love to see your bright, shiny, smiling head around.
Let me tell you, I had one person on one staff when I told them that I was going to be at Nebraska, and they're like, who do I need to call to make changes?
Oh, man.
That is our guy, Mike Sautter. We will be wrapping up the show next with Matt Verzal here on Benning and Lulla.
We will be back in 4 minutes. We will be back in 3 minutes. We will be back in 2 minutes. We will be back in 1 minute. We will be back in 30 seconds. Hurrdat Sports presents the Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla. Now let's find out what Matt Verzal is better at, telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Verzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Verzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Verzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Verzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
We are wrapping up the show here today with Matt Verzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. Verz, how you doing this morning?
Good, boys. How are you?
Good, Matty. How you hanging, bud?
Hey, above the dirt.
You're already rolling, I'm gathering, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How many deep are we? It's 9:44.
Same as last week.
Hey,
we have this same deal every Friday for the next probably month.
Those stacks are hilarious. I was like,
yeah, you remember that one time you came in and you were kind of toward the tail end of it and you took a picture of like a third of the amount of boxes and you were like, this is something. That one guy's like, not that impressive. I was like, hey, dude, catch it about 3 hours ago and tell me what you think.
So what I think when I saw you too, you were coming off your first drop off, right? Because you were just pulling out of the school.
Yep. Rocking and rolling.
Hey, so how does it look tonight? What What are you thinking with the matchup? Scott.
You don't have any tie to OPS anymore, do you?
No.
Okay. OPS is a complete. This is a complete clown show.
Oh boy.
Okay. So these young men that play for Buena Vista, I have all of the world of respect for them and the coaches. All right. But to put young men in this position, it's a travesty. I'll be honest. These guys are going out and giving everything they got, and they aren't. It's not fair because last year they had freshmen and sophomores. This year they have junior, freshmen, sophomores. Okay, a realistic thing to do this, and I get it. Somebody's going to say they got to generate money from the gate. BS. You could find a different way to do that. Okay, they should have played a reserve season last year. That's it, so they can gain confidence in what they're doing because you can see talent on the field. Okay, they have talent on the field. But when you're going out every Friday and you're getting it put to you, you hate the game. And it's a disservice to the game. And it's a disservice to those young men. So I'm pissed. Like, I'm excited that we get a chance to play, but I'm just pissed that we put kids in this position. I really am. Because you're going to teach them to hate the game. And it's a great game. It's the only game that will prepare you to succeed in life because you have to have everybody around you do things. And you have to all be on the same page. But anybody in any phase of their life, they're not going to want to go out and get kicked every weekend. But if you put them in that reserve season the first year, okay, and then let them play up and down. Let them play JV if the other team's got a JV team. Let them play a freshman team. That's okay because you're a new school and you're building confidence in kids at a similar age. And I told our guys, so listen, they have not had the advantages that you have had. That's fact, straight up. You have to go out and handle your business, okay? And that's it. And when we pull you out, and it's done. But it pisses me off. I get most mad in athletic situations when the adults fail the kids. And I think that's what not their coaches, not their administration, not them. They're doing good. But it's the next level up I got a problem with.
Verzal, and this is not a situation unique to Buena Vista, even though they're the new school.
No.
We've seen this at places like Benson this year as well, where it seems like the people that should be in charge of things have kind of failed the kids as well.
The other part with Benson, and I get it, you want to have the opportunity to go to the playoffs and play. There's nothing that says you have to stay in the class. Like, you can opt. I think it opt to play in B. And I get it. You want to try to win a state championship and all that kind of stuff. But to me, again, if you go in and you're kind of a group that maybe if they do opt down and you play and you start to win some games and you build confidence and then you get kind of the ball rolling with your program and you get more people in your program and, you can kind of go at it that way. If you're looking at building an organization, the organization has to have some sort of success at some time. And that would just be something I would examine, but there's a reason I'm not a head coach or an administrator because I'm way too fly off the handle guy.
No. Maddie, what would you like to see Nebraska offensively improve on that you saw with kind of the ground game and some of that QB run game? What'd you like?
I think the only thing I need him to continue to do is have the offensive coordinator call plays that fit the skill set of their players, not what he wants to call to show off his big brain. Like that game plan they had for Harburg in that game, and I know it's Northern Illinois, but that game plan fit Heinrich Harburg's skill set. And I'm not too far off if I don't think that Heinrich Harburg and Jeff Sims' skill sets are very similar. Maybe don't put the kid in a position where you like this play. Maybe just go ask, hey, do you guys like this play? They might say, nah, because I don't want to make that throw. But you know what I can do? I can juke that guy out of the shorts. Or if I get some blocking up front in the third quarter, I can probably run that guy over, coach. Like, deal. Give her a shot. See what happens.
So you'd like to see, even with a healthy Jeff Sims, more of a game plan like we saw with Harburg against Northern Illinois?
You wouldn't?
No, I'm clarifying that I heard you correctly. That's all I'm asking.
Crystal. Yep.
Oh, God, a few good men. Let me ask you one other thing. Just because, I mean, I think on a personal level, we want the best for him. Pretty cool to see Teddy kind of get his feet wet with some buddies to his left and some buddies to his right, just to get him back acclimated. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, at least in my heart, to like see him out there active, putting his arms around guys in a huddle again.
I'm sure it's happened before, and I just haven't paid attention, but that's a pretty slick way to indoctrinate somebody back into it.
Right?
Just put them in there. Like I tipped the cap. I was like, well done. You slick little SOBs there. That was pretty good. But I liked it. You could tell there was a couple reps where he's knocking off some rust. There was a couple reps where it looked like, okay, that guy, that's the guy we need. That's the guy we have to have. So that was I was very excited about that.
Can you believe he's still growing? Like I don't think people really realize what it takes to move all that mass repeatedly over and over again. Like he's the biggest person I know, like in real life.
Well, if you look at, take it to golf, right? So if your club face is 1 degree off of dead square center, right? It's like a 10-yard variance down the fairway. So now you take that into human form. Teddy's 6'11" with no cleats on. Like he's 6'11" in socks. So now if that chain of events that's going as he moves, if you have an imbalance, listen, me and you, DB, we built low to the ground, okay? If we have an imbalance in our stride or in our step, ain't that big a deal. The rest of our body's smart enough to fix it. But now you multiply that by 10 inches, and so that chain of events that happens down there, you've got to make sure that every muscular balance is in balance. Like he's just tuned up, and I think there were some things that were just a little off, and that's kind of why he had some of the issues. So good to see him back out there. Really like what Campbell's doing, and hopefully, he gets a chance to showcase that on the field.
Verz, do you like the number of guys they're playing on defense? I think they got 29 in the game against Northern Illinois, and I get it got away a little bit at the end, but they've been playing a pretty high number all 3 weeks. Is that something you're a fan of?
Absolutely. If you feel you, and coaches are liars, like they won't tell you, but they'll be playing like, oh, we got this under control. Okay, sneak him in there. Milt and Dan, they both rest in peace, were awesome at it. That they would, like, every now and then, like Texas Tech, third series of the game, like Verzal go in. I was like, why? I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, no, get in there. I was like, okay, let's do this. But Dish would be in there. Like Aaron Taylor, as a redshirt freshman, came in and they just slide a piece in just to see how you react. It's the safest, most hostile environment you can be in because you got team around you, but now you're in it. You're exposed to it. You're in the battle now. You're in front of 90,000 people. How do you react? The more you can get into the game, the more benefit it will provide you at the end. Then that's just, and it really resonates with how well they do like drill work, meaning all their drill work resonates with their players, because if they feel comfortable enough to throw that many people in and the technique doesn't drop off and the knowledge of tackling, where's my help? I don't have to go crazy far inside because I have inside help coming. Damon, I think you call it spill or leverage or whatever, but I've got all this stuff. So when they're able to do that with a second team guy, and then like some of them are like true freshman guys, that's a tip of the cap, and probably, need to evaluate making sure T. White gets a bigger check at the end of the season. Hey, listen, man, listen. I'm as serious as cancer with that one. You got to throw that dude some money so he don't go away, because he's gonna be a hot commodity.
Dude, who are you telling? I'm all the way with
you. And Ravi, you're the ones I'm on the phone with.
I'm all the way with you, buddy. I'm 100%.
That's our friend Matt Verzal. Verz, we appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, boys. Be good.
Thanks, Matty.
That's Matt Verzal. We're wrapping up
through that without getting killed.
We're wrapping up the week here. Good luck to you tonight up in Norfolk, and we'll see you again on Monday.
Appreciate it.